And here we go.
This is the final go, no-go poll for today's operations.
Full reusability of an engine like this is really something that people haven't done before.
We didn't know what we were doing because it was impossible to know what you were doing. We were the only one who had ever done something like this before.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, ignition.
Back skew.
Separation.
One Raptor vacuum is off.
We lost a Raptor vacuum.
Ship FTS is saved.
Starship is turning for final approach to landing site.
Good evening. You can see on your screen now, Booster 20 has made its way towards the road and is about to make a break for launch pad. Hopefully, in just a couple days, we will see this along with the ship stacked over at pad 2 and ready to launch the 13th flight test for the Starship. I am Sawyer Rosenstein, and I am your host for this evening's roll. As always, I am not alone. I am also joined by EJ. How's it going, EJ?
Yeah, good evening, Sawyer. How are you? How are you doing? How's everybody doing?
Doing pretty good here. Obviously, a lot better now that we are this much closer to the next Starship flight. That's always exciting times.
I tell you, this one kind of crept up on us, like more so than launches previously. Like, bro, we're what are we, 72 hours out? Less than that?
Less. That's the crazy thing, yeah.
Right?
It's really did sneak up on you. I agree. All of a sudden, it's like, oh yeah, by the way, here's all the NOTAMs and not Mars, and oh yeah, now it's official. The 16th is what we have currently set on the schedule for Starship's next flight.
I mean, it's just, yeah. Usually, and this is entirely off feel chat with me. It's like, oh, it's okay. You get the notice to airmen. It's like, okay, we got a couple weeks. You got a couple weeks before. No. The NOTAMs were last week. Here we go.
Yeah. But we are excited for it. We are ready for it, as is today's producer, Kevin Michael Reed. And then, of course, we have all of the teams out in the field with the cameras tonight. I believe we also have Jay working in the back. We have a lot of the SCL team helping out, too. The whole team for all of these, especially when you get something as significant as a Starship flight. And as always, you can tag us at NASASpaceflight or at NSF if you have any questions, and those will appear in our panel that we have in the background and make it easier for us to see your questions. So, we now have the role here for Booster 20. EJ, can you kind of get us caught up on the testing campaign that we had? Because it really feels like it was less than a week ago that this booster was out at Pad 2 static firing.
Yeah, last week we did the rollout. I was doing the rollout coverage with Ryan Weber. We watched this thing roll out, and then we watched it do a 24-second static fire. That's the longest we've ever seen a Super Heavy going full power without it flying, right? And then a week before that, we had Ship 40 doing testing out at Massey's, and it did its full duration burn on the test stand over at the Massey's test site. And now here we are.
It really, it came up quick. But we had, obviously the static fire that happened, which was amazing and surprisingly long with those engines, and to see some of the throttling in it. I mean, that was absolutely spectacular. But I guess everything must have went well if they're already back and now rolling out again this quickly. And of course, with the booster rolling by, it's also worth mentioning that we have the ship for this vehicle as well, which I believe last we saw it was rolling out of towards the Mega Bay, basically so that they can go ahead and load in those Starlink satellites. And this time, EJ, they are not Starlink simulators. They are not mass simulators. They are not quote-unquote dumb links. They are supposedly actual Starlink V3s.
Yep, we have, I believe it's 20 actual real Starlink V3s, and then 6 of those satellites have the cameras similar to the Dodger dogs that we saw on the last flight. They have optics packages put on them so they can image the heat shield. SpaceX really wants some at least some visual data on how the heat shield does during ascent.
Yeah, I mean, from all angles, you gotta admit, the view of it popping out was pretty cool, but to be able to test the satellites and get the view all the way around with those satellites that'll have the cameras on it and do the testing, hopefully, like last time, we get a live feed again. It's going to be spectacular.
I think we're in for a treat. Also, dog. Dog acknowledged, chat. Dogs acknowledged.
As we were talking about dogs, we get to the Dune dog, I guess, or the Highway 4 dog.
It makes sense, man. It makes sense.
Yes. For those wondering, Jake, my cat, is lying next to me at the moment. So, Jake says hi.
My doggo Titan says hi as well. He's here in spirit, and he's probably sleeping right now.
Oh, boy. All right, let's get to some of your questions, because you guys have had some good questions coming in as we wait for this to roll. All I can think of now, by the way, real quick, is in the latest update video they did, the critical path of the people watching the boosters and ships roll by from inside that office building there.
Right.
That view was really cool.
That's the office buildings just to the left of that X right there. It's great.
Cool Teacher Dude is wondering, why are they using 33 engines on boostback? 13 seemed to work very well.
Okay, this is where EJ is going to theory craft a little bit, but I'm pretty dang sure it's for the performance. All right. If you light all 33 engines and get that thing to turn around sooner rather than later, that's less flight time. It's less time for that thing in the air. And you know, if you're firing 13, right, the booster's going to coast a little bit, right? But it's also going to go up. You fire 33, it's basically going to stop it dead in its tracks and allow it to just basically fall right back to that tower. So like if you look at Falcon with its boost back burn, it's not like back down at the ground. Falcon 9 like does 180, right? But then it kind of points up and it kind of sails through the air. It ends up after its boost back burn, it actually goes up even more. Super Heavy, I'm pretty sure, is not do that. Now you got to remember the name of the game here is with first stage efficiency, guys, and doesn't matter if it's Super Heavy, it doesn't matter if it's, you know, Falcon or the shuttle or whatever. For the name of the game with first stage with good efficiency is thrust to weight. The faster the first stage can do its job, like actually, you know, is the faster that first stage can do its job, the more efficient it's going to be. My mind goes back to Falcon 9 Block 5, right? Falcon 9 Block 5 is actually less efficient than Falcon 9 Block 4. SpaceX opted to squeeze more thrust out of the Merlins and sack a little bit of specific impulse by getting more power out of them. And that gave Falcon 9 that extra performance that it needed to do return to launch sites, downrange drone ship landings, etc., etc. Remember, the name of the game with first stage efficiency isn't necessarily, you know, your specific impulse, how efficient your engines are, right? The name of the game is thrust to weight ratio. The higher TWR you have, the better. And that a boost back burn is not excluded from that. If they can boost back quicker with 33 engines, that's less flight time for that booster. That's less time it needs to maneuver through the atmosphere, less coast time. It can get back to the pad quicker. And that's the name of the game. Efficiency with that first stage. You need that high thrust. Anyway, back to you, Sawyer.
No, that's a good, thorough answer on it. Because, yeah, I mean, as of right now, though, the plan is still the 13 engines for the landing burn or the catch burn, or I guess in this case, it's a splashdown burn, technically. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this one, yeah. So just a, you know, little bit of a high-level overview of Flight 13. It's more or less a repeat of Flight 12, guys. This booster is going to do hopefully not an exact repeat of Flight 12. The Flight 12 flight regime, I should say, right? So the booster that you see on the screen, Booster 20, is going to, you know, deliver Starship. It's going to turn around, hopefully do that 33 engine boost back, and then it's going to try to land in a precise spot out in the Gulf. You know, if it gets to that point, then maybe we could see a booster catch on the next flight. Now the ship is going to basically do the same exact thing that it did. Hopefully minus the engine popping, because on Flight 12, one of the vacuum engines on Starship, let's just say it sprung a leak, and the Starship's onboard computers shut it off. And they did demonstrate engine out capability, which is great. Sawyer, my mind goes back to, your single engine rota, two engine TAL, press 109. You know what I'm
Hmm.
talking about, right?
I sure do.
So it did demonstrate that on Flight 12, but that's not exactly what you want. You want to demonstrate all your engines going all the way to engine cutoff. And what they ended up not doing on Flight 12 was the Raptor relight and deorbit burn from there. And Starship had to sail on a weird trajectory to get to its landing site, which it did. It demonstrated cross-range capability too. And that's all fine and dandy for abort contingencies, but we're trying to get this thing to work right? So, yeah, Flight 13 is basically going to be a repeat of Flight 12, but hopefully we check all the boxes for your test flight objectives, right?
Yeah, that would kind of be nice, is to actually be able to get all the way through with all objectives ticked off this time.
Yeah, we want to
Um, yeah, but yeah, for those who don't know, the shuttle had a couple of close calls on the way uphill. You had the one where they did have to abort to orbit, and then there was one where it almost started shutting down all the engines with STS-93. That's where we get the "Yikes, you bet" concur from in the intro.
Yeah, what is that? The golden bullet?
Yeah, pretty much.
Ugh.
But
Yep.
yeah. Again, it's one of those where you'd rather it be a bad sensor that shuts down than some of the previous Starship flights where the sensor doesn't catch it and you have a Raptor shattering in your ship and then bad things happen. We don't want
Yeah.
that again.
Yeah, Super Heavy was not happy on Flight 12. 19 was not happy during that boost back burn.
No, the booster apart, yeah, and then even the flights before it, the previous two V2s before the last one, the
Yeah.
yeah,
No, it was great. It's great.
it was fine. But again, we don't want to talk that into existence for this flight. We want everything to be successful on this one, so that if it does, like you said, hopefully, if all goes to plan per Gwyn Shotwell's update on CNBC, I believe it was about a month ago, that it would be the next flight would be orbital, and then the following flight after that would be from the Cape. That would be amazing.
Sawyer, I don't mean to start a little bit of a tangent discussion here, but
Us on a tangent at NSF? Never.
no, I know. No, it's about rockets. It's not about trains, I swear. Or that single cab short box Dodge Ram that's in the center of the screen, all right? It's not about that either, okay?
Okay.
So I was thinking, Flight 15 for the Cape, if everything goes right. What do you think, so you launch a Starship from the Cape on Flight 15. Super Heavy obviously comes back to 39A, lands, it gets caught, best case scenario. Is that ship coming down? And where is it coming down? Think about it. Think about it. Because if they have Flight 15 from the Cape, if they're launching from the Cape, that means they got two pads operational.
That is true.
Gets the noggin jogging, doesn't it, chat?
I mean, that's something we've always talked about of, would they launch from Texas and catch in Florida? We never brought up the question, would they launch from Florida and catch in Texas?
Right.
We've never really asked it the other way around, have we?
No, we were talking about this on my end, and I was like, that makes really, really good sense.
I mean, I think in the future, obviously, once you have 37A and B online, or for that matter, just 39 and 37A, you can do it all at one location. But until then, I mean, yeah, that would be very interesting to see. And again, while that still may be off in the future, a reminder, off in the not too distant future, just about 45 hours and 15 minutes from right now, this booster will hopefully be ready to launch with the ship atop of it over at Pad 2 for the 13th flight test of the Starship program. As we see it rolling by our cameras there with the gorgeous... I've grown to love the 3-grid fin situation. I also grown to love the sound of the SPMTs as they roll by, too.
Oh, yeah. It's really some ASMR going on here. I could fall asleep to the sound of those hydraulic motors moving.
love getting a peek at those Raptor 3s. They look so nice. I remember first looking at it going, those are almost too simple, but they look elegant, especially when you see it with this giant monstrosity that it's attached to. And I mean monstrosity in a good way. Look at that.
What? Oh, sorry. The motor sound put me to sleep.
Yeah. Lindsay with the shop team in the back channel called it ASPMTR. ASMR. Combining it.
This acronyms. All right.
Well, I guess that would be an initialism, but still.
Yeah, that too.
See, we care about grammar here at NSF as well. We are also a news channel here. And we're only able to bring you these views because of support. So let me thank a couple people here real quick. Back to more of your questions. Just wanted to stop and enjoy the sounds. Troy, thank you for gifting 5 Red Team memberships. Astro Ellie, thank you for the support. North of Antarctica saying, sitting at the end of the flame trench waiting on the booster. Wait, the booster's going north of Antarctica? That's impressive. Go ahead, punt tokens in chat if you think they deserve it. Kiwi Nibbles, just over 166,000 seconds to go, baby. But who's counting? Bideford saying, I normally hoop and holler for everyone here, but I really could use tons of prayers for my son, Michael, right now. Please and thank you for all. Bideford, you don't have to be doing a $100 super chat if your son needs prayers right now. You can just ask us and we'll give them to you anyway and ask people for it. Thank you so much for the extreme generosity. And yes, all of our thoughts and prayers will be with your son. For those who don't know, Bideford is a regular here. She is absolutely awesome. And we wish all the best for you and your family right now.
I'll give you like three prayers. You get 3, Bideford, a day. Is that adequate?
There you go. And also, NNNNSSS. You're just missing F's so that you get NSF. Thank you for gifting a Red Team membership. Noah Grubby saying, tuning into the stream on a flight with Starlink. They're asking how much better Starlink V3 and what's the max Starlink capacity of the ship. I don't know if we know much of that yet, EJ.
Let me see. How much better is Starlink V3 and what's the max Starlink capacity? Dude, people have theorized about it. We don't have any concrete numbers. We know that this one is going to carry 20. And honestly, all right, so let's go to theory crafting again. Here we go. Put on your thinking caps. I know it's late. So SpaceX basically said in their last update that they really weren't pushing this thing too hard. Right? They weren't pushing this thing too hard on the last flight, but now they're gonna really push it. They're testing a different ascent profile. They're testing different accelerations, etc., etc. That tells me that. I mean, I'm just gonna put it out there. I think Starship can move 100 tons. I think this version can move 100 tons. I just think they're not there yet. We know the last payload was somewhere around 40 tons. I believe it was 37.5 tons. And that thing dumped an ungodly amount of fuel right after engine cutoff, as they've done on previous Starship flights. Once again, this is not an official number, just kind of extrapolating what we know about the flight regime and what we've learned from SpaceX giving us these good updates, from critical path, etc., etc. 100, I'd say 100, 2 stacks of 50. I think is not out of the realm of possibility here. That's me theory crafting. It's probably less, but I think it could move that. Like, just a guess.
I mean, keeping in mind the most I believe that they ever launched of Starlinks, regardless of version, was 60. Was it 63? It was in the 60s for the older Starlink satellites before the V2 minis, which basically at this point are just V2 because there was no V2 large. But I mean, yeah, I think it's possible, and their whole point was to build the mega constellation faster with something like Starship. So I think 100 would be a safe bet. But again, they haven't put out official numbers yet, and in terms of speed and latency, we also don't know that either. But I imagine that would also improve.
Yeah, I mean, now that I'm thinking about it, you know, I put those numbers out there, and I'm like, I don't know if they could get 2 stacks of 50 like physically in there. Like, you might be constricted volume wise in that regard. Maybe 2 stacks of 30 or 40, somewhere in there. It is, dude. Guys, you know, Ryan and I were watching the booster static fire the other day, and I said it once, and I'll say it again. That what you see on the screen, that metal tube scares me. It is, but it's the, you know, I'm not gonna be like, oh my gosh, I don't want to see it. Like, nothing like that. It just, the amount of energy output that this thing puts out could power a small country, not state, not city, country. The numbers that we're dealing with here are frankly hard to grasp. Right. And that's what I mean. Like this. Yeah, I don't think 100 tons is out of the realm of possibility. 2 stacks of 30 Starlink V3s, Sawyer. I'm pretty sure that's like maybe 2 stacks of 50 if they could fit. Like, but it is a monster. This ain't your daddy's Starship. You know what I mean?
That is true. Gotham is wondering, will Falcon 9 beat Soyuz on their launch count record? Which, I mean, we just had another Soyuz launch this morning with Anil Menon now at the International Space Station, along with 2 others.
Peter Dubrov and Anna Kikna.
Thank you. I'm terrible with Russian names. I appreciate that. All I know is Anil Menon because A is the husband of Anna Menon, who launched to space, and also I interviewed him about a month ago before his flight. That's available on NASASpaceflight.com.
Oh, great. So not only that, Sawyer, but Anil was SpaceX's chief medical officer, and then Anna was right after that, and then Anna ended up flying into space before Anil did, which is pretty cool.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, he was out there with Inspiration 4. He was their chief medical person. So
Yep.
But
So in case you want to feel inadequate about, you know, what your job, whatever your job title is, Anil Menon is a fighter pilot, doctor, astronaut. You know, just. That's great. You know, I made my bed today, so that.
Well, talk about a power couple, though, between him and his wife, Anna, having both flown to space, both with doctorates and actual medical fields. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. She also worked at NASA previously, worked on the ISS.
SpaceX.
Yeah, and SpaceX, yep.
Right? Like,
but yeah.
All right. You know, hey, I walked my dog today, so.
To answer the question, though, I think Soyuz has a big lead at the moment, so it's going to be tough to catch. Trevor, if SpaceX wants to inspect ship heat shields after re-entry, why don't they put the landing legs like SN8 back on and land on land?
Well, they're confined to suborbital trajectories right now. I mean, okay. You know, I'll put this out into the aether here, and we'll see what the universe sends back. I mean, I wouldn't be against it if they, you know, just landed one of these things, I don't know, on the west coast of Australia somewhere. I wouldn't be against it. I don't think they're going to do that, but I wouldn't be against it either. I think SpaceX is, if we're going to talk about it like in gaming terms here, I think SpaceX is teching right for orbital flight and ship catch. To do it that way. I don't think they'd want to add landing legs to the design when in the future being maybe possibly the next couple of flights, you're not going to need those. I mean, personally, I think Starship should have landing legs anyway, but that I don't think chat's ready for that conversation. But, you know, whatever.
Just have a guide wire system. Works for China.
You know, it did work. I'm actually impressed at how well that actually worked. And, you know, I can't prove it, but I'm fairly confident that Long March 10B had 4, like, Sukhoi arrestor hooks on it. Those are, like, straight-up naval, like, Chinese Navy fighter plane arrestor hooks that they just kind of put on the side. You know what? I'm here for it. It's pretty cool.
If it works, it works.
Yeah, hey.
Duthamer asking, are the motors literally hydraulic fluid pumped through like turbines to spin the wheels? That's an EJ question if I've heard one.
Yes, on the SBMTs. Yep. Yes. They are diesel hydraulic. So the SBMTs have 2 power packs. There's 2 kind of trains of them on either side, right? And they have a power pack on the back. It's a diesel generator, and that diesel generator is attached to a a fluid impeller and a hydraulic accumulator. Yeah, you can see the 2 power packs right there. They're to the left and right of the Cybertruck with the light bar on the top. Those are the power packs, and the SPMTs use a hydraulic motor. So what the hydraulic motor is just, if you guys are kind of familiar with a fluid coupling, only minus the coupling part, it's just basically a fluid impeller that's attached to an axle, which is attached to the wheel. That's it. It's very simple.
Where's the turbo encabulator?
Oh, it's actually inside of the power pack. It located in semi-boloid penendermic slots of the stator.
There we go. For those who don't get that reference, you got to watch the online video. It's hysterical. Let's see here. Amy Carcetera asking, do your field reporters have bug spray? I would hope so.
Yeah, I hope so.
If nothing else, I know they have the sun shirts, which are the long sleeve, lightweight shirts that we have at shop.nasaspaceflight.com. I can say from experience, having light, long sleeves like that at night for a cape launch, super helpful. I did not get as bit with that, and it's lightweight, and it was still cool, even though it was, Florida heat. So just saying, be like the field team, stay cool, get the sun shirts, shop.nasaspaceflight.com. 98 Central saying, when a notice to mariners is issued, does it also include airliners, or is that separate? That is, in fact, separate. The Not Mars, which is the notice to mariners, and then there's the NOTAM, which is the notice to airmen, formerly air missions. That is what they give for the pilots to stay clear, and the airspace is very different from the sea space, of what they keep clear. So they're somewhat similar, I guess, but there are little quirks and differences to each one, given that one is going uphill and the other is where if things fell downhill for some reason where they weren't supposed to, or, for the case of the splashdown, where it's actually supposed to. Let's see. RS10 guy, while we're talking about splashdowns and catches and things like that, is asking, are they catching this one, EJ?
No ship nor booster catch. This is a repeat of Flight 12. They got to make sure that they can, what SpaceX wants to do is make sure that they can precisely get the booster back to a target that's not the tower, so you could basically do a landing with all but the catch, right? And in terms of the ship didn't do its deorbit burn on Flight 12. The Raptor relight didn't work because they sprung a leak on ascent. Well, at least that's what we think. SpaceX said in their recap that they didn't spring a leak, but they said it had more to do with engine control, which is possible, whatever. Something went wrong and they didn't do the Raptor deorbit burn on Flight 12. You got to prove that out. You got to prove that out, that you can deorbit this thing with its cryogenic propellants doing the deorbit burn. The reason why is the reason why Starship hasn't gone to orbit at all. It's only done these high suborbital trajectories, or well, not high suborbital, almost to orbit trajectories. It's still suborbital. They don't want to strand a ship up there, and if you can't get the ship up orbit, you're not gonna catch it because it's gonna come down in the ocean. And like I said, unless they want to put some landing legs on it and land it, by in Darwin, Australia, that'd be kind of cool. Once again, I'd be okay with this.
I would indeed be okay with that as well.
Heck, you know what, Sawyer? Just you don't even need the landing legs. Just set it down. Yeah, the bottom of the ship might get a little damaged with no landing legs, landing on a concrete slab, but you're only going to do it once or twice, right? It will damage the bottom of the ship, and the ship might explode. And
yeah, but do you want a ship 10 again?
Yeah, that's immediately where my mind went. It could do what ship 10 did. So you know what? I just changed my mind in real time. Let's not do that. That's a bad idea. How about we don't do that? I talked myself out of it.
For those who don't remember, Ship 10 back in the early days of testing was one of the ships that did the hop and then a flip and burn. And it technically was the first one to land, although it only stayed intact once it landed for a couple of minutes, because as it came down, it landed super hard and ruptured tanks, and then we have one of the earth-shattering kabooms that you've probably seen in the intro. So, yeah, I'm on the probably not the best idea. Heck, if you saw the video that SpaceX put out, it's pretty cool nonetheless, seeing everything just gently touch down in the ocean, only to then kaboom as planned, where there's no one nearby except some buoys with cameras on it. Oh, here's a great thought question. I want
like
to
those.
spitball. I want to spitball with you on this one, EJ, as we see the
Okay.
booster getting that much closer over to Pad 2. Where will the ship test facility be located at the Space Coast? Because here you obviously have Massey's for ship testing that they do. Would this be something that maybe they build an extra thing over at 39A or at 37? Or given that we're not at that point yet, is this something you set up temporarily over at Robert Road? Could you make room for it over there? Because there's more clearings happening.
You know, that's a really, really good question, Sawyer. I'm not sure of an exact location, to be 100% honest with you, but what I will say is that Kennedy Space Center is big and there's tons of space. And the reason why I say Kennedy Space Center is, well, if you think about, you know, what the path that a Starship is going to take, obviously it's going to come in at the turning basin by 39 by the VAB, then go to the Cape Side Gigabay, right? And then if you're going to do launch operations, it's going to go down the crawlerway towards 39A, right?
Well, next to it, but yeah.
Yeah, what is it? What's the name of that road? I forget the name. Sorry, it's the road that's next to the crawlerway, right? And then it could potentially go south towards 37.
Right, but are you going to do that all the way for testing, and then if you need to roll it back to Roberts Road to the bay to work on it, are you going to do all that?
No, it's a good question. So, guys, the reason why I'm talking this out is like if we're making a line between the furthest SpaceX facility from the Gigabay and the closest one, right? The closest one is the Gigabay itself. The second closest is 39A, and the third is, well, Space Launch Complex 37. So, I don't know. I think Complex 37, which is on the Space Force side of things, might not be the worst idea. But that means you have to move a ship all the way through down the crawlerway, past 39A, all the way to 37, and then roll it right back to the Gigabay for testing. That.
Exactly. That's why I thought this was a good thought question there.
Yeah,
By the way, Saturn Causeway. It was driving me nuts. I had to
Saturn
pull up my
Causeway, thank
maps.
Yep.
I know. I'll be interested what you think, chat. And if you're not sure exactly what we're talking about, we did a Space Coast flyover where you can see the updates of where all that stuff is at. Let me thank some people here. Data 00021 becoming a PadRat member. Thank you very much for that. NNSSF. They added an F to the end. NNNNSSSF now. We'll say, will this launch be visible from the Wyoming coast? Yeah, probably. I mean, if nothing else, we did see the paperwork of once they actually do start flying over land to come back to Starship, or to Starbase, excuse me, too many stars, it kind of has that trek over the southwestern United States, over the southern U.S., and then curving down past Van Horn and Blue's place over there, back to Starbase. So we have the trajectory for the return back, and it does not go near Wyoming, unfortunately, but joke still acknowledged, and appreciate you adding the F at the end of the name. Let's see here. Noah getting an item from the shop at shop.nasaspaceflight.com, getting one of the Starship prints. Asking, has SpaceX ever addressed the confident glowing hotspots coming from the RVACs during the ship burns? Is it normal?
This is where I'm going to sound like I'm not answering the question, but I'm going to do it, Noah. I think that's just the sunlight reflecting off of the vectors, but it could be heat concentrations in the nozzle. But, okay, so here's the thing. If you have non-uniform heating inside of the liners on your nozzle, i.e. a hot spot, usually what happens in just with rocket testing in general, usually what happens after that is an explosion, and it's not the type of explosion that you want. You know, rockets make explosions and then they shoot them out the back, right? You don't want to shoot it out the side. I'm inclined to say that it's probably just a sunlight, you know, some swamp gas reflected off of Venus, and putting my sunglasses on. Hey, we want to look at this, chat? You know, like, I'm inclined to say that it's probably just a reflection, because if you have a heat concentration in the nozzle The liners on these Raptors are made out of copper. The cooling vanes and the liner is all copper. The motor would pop if that was truly non-uniform heating inside of the nozzle. That would be bad. That's usually terrible for rocket engines. I mean, a good example of that, Sawyer, would be GE M63XLs. You know, you
The
see,
ones that lose their nozzles, which hopefully
Yeah.
the engines that you're about to see as this passes by again of those Raptor 3s doesn't do that.
yeah, we don't want that. Non-uniform heating inside of the nozzle or the throat or the combustion chamber lining, depending on the engine, usually makes things explode. And Raptor is no exception. We've seen these things pop before. I'm pretty sure it's just the way that light is propagating, you know, and it could be the camera, could be the exposure rate on the camera, it could be a bunch of things. But yeah, I don't think it's non-uniform heating. That would be a real no-no, Sawyer. Let me put it that way.
Yeah. Hey, look, it's the fastest thing ever launched into space in the bottom right of the camera.
A manhole cover. Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Reference
Those who get it. Yeah.
for you.
That's a great low-down view as we see it go by. And here's another cool view of the SPMT passing by. Oh, man, this thing is a beast. And keep in mind, there's another one that should be moving sooner than later, especially if they're planning on launching in 2 days, which they're asking. Cooper was wondering, is Ship 40 starting to peak out? Well, Ship 40, I believe, was over in one of the mega bays just before the roll started. And I believe that is what they usually do to load in the Starlink V3 satellites. There it is. You can see on your screen, there is the ship. When will we see it roll out is the other question. Because, of course, you see on your screen, there's Booster right now continuing its roll. So in case you're wondering if that's Booster 20, well, that's the one right on your screen, very quickly approaching Pad 2. But, I mean, timing-wise, how fast do you think they would need to get the ship out there to be able to meet all the timelines that they're aiming for here?
What's today? Is today Tuesday?
14th. Tuesday the 14th.
That ship's got to roll tomorrow. It's got to be sometime in the next 24 hours. That would be my guess. But then again, with the fast pacing, you never know. Right now, Ship 40, just like astronauts are getting ready for a mission, is eating its final meal. In this case, it's eating 20 Starlink V3s. But I think they're probably gonna, you know, have dinner through the night and get that thing out here tomorrow. That would be my guess, though.
Did one of those have a picture of a cake with the mission insignia on it?
I really hope so.
Well, at this point, it's still waiting for that load. So it's out there going, okay, I'm hungry, feed me. They haven't started feeding yet, is what Ryan Weber is pointing out in the background here. So...
Well, it's hungry, Ryan. It's hungry. It needs to eat. You know, everybody's got to eat. You're not going to fly to space on an empty stomach.
Well, I mean, I guess it's well hydrated typically with Methalox, so...
It hasn't gotten that yet. You got to wash it down. You got to wash down your meal of 20 Starlinks with some Methalox. Hey, you know what? It's working. This analogy is working, and I'm going to keep going with it.
I don't know about you, but I love plasma for dessert.
Oh, yeah. It's like a souffle. It's great.
No, we don't want a souffle. We don't want it to rise. Well, I guess it does rise up a bit in the trajectory, but nothing crazy anymore. The one axolotl is wondering, do you know how fast this thing goes with the booster on top? I know the numbers for NASA's crawler transporter with Artemis. I don't know if I specifically know the number for the SPMTs. I think it's close to, what, 5-ish miles an hour?
Sawyer, that's what somebody asked me that over in Twitch, and usually these things go about 5 miles an hour, but this thing seems like it's going a little bit faster than that, uncharacteristically fast. I would say it's closer to 10 miles an hour, about 16 kph for everybody else.
That seems crazy fast. I mean, yes, this does feel faster, but I guess when you look at when it started rolling until now, it's about the usual timeline of how long it takes to get from once it enters Highway 4 over to the entrance to Pad 2, which it is quickly approaching.
Yeah, I mean, they usually go at about...
Could help us with the timing on that.
They usually go about 5 miles an hour. Like it's 3 to 5, depending on what it is. But this thing was moving pretty quick.
Yeah, so maybe they were pushing for that 5, instead of a leisurely 3, which, again, keep in mind how massive this vehicle is. You're talking something larger than a Falcon 9 in height and definitely much wider with the diameter, going so much faster on the way out there. And it's doing it vertical as opposed to Falcon 9, which rolls out on train tracks horizontal. So, yeah, that's nuts.
Yeah, that, guys, that silver tube there is about 300 tons and change. That's a lot to be going that fast, to be 100% honest. That's, okay. SpaceX, I was unaware of your game. No, I've seen it before, but it's impressive.
Yeah. Cooper, thank you for becoming a Pad Rat member. Mr. Goobier Racing asking, was there any engine replacements noticed with either vehicle this time? I mean, I guess we'll really have to see once they lift the booster up and we get to see it moved over. Once they do the lift, we might be able to get a better vantage point of that, which hopefully they do in daylight so we can read them all. But I don't know if we specifically are aware of any outright changes from the static fire that we saw last week to this.
Sawyer, it's tougher to see. It's not like the Starhopper days where we could just see them swap an engine out, It's Jack often said, the Abandoner, hi Jack. He often said that, the Mega Bay being built is the end of the beginning. Right? It's not just a bunch of guys in dunes with video cameras filming some guys making a rocket out on the beach somewhere. Right? So it's hard to see what they swap out. I mean, we'd have to actually, like you said, just compare numbers to numbers, right?
Yep. And again, we would have to see, when it lifts. Because obviously through the SPMTs, we could catch maybe 2 numbers. But the best chance we have of seeing more of them is once they actually lift it onto the launch mount.
Mm-hmm.
Zelio saying hello to their favorite Twitch streamer and Floridian. Hey. Wait, that's what I get, his favorite Floridian? I'll take it.
What is he, chopped liver?
Actually, that was part of what I had for dinner tonight, but that's another story. ODST Moody saying, ship already has to wash down its meal? As we continue on this analogy, apparently. I am once again suggesting filling Starship with nature's own glory, Dr. Pepper. And no, I will not stop suggesting this.
Sucrose-based propellants. Not enough specific impulse for my taste.
Well, I do like Dr. Pepper for my taste, but yeah, not for my specific impulse taste, I guess.
I mean, if we're tasting rocket fuel, I'm sure it would taste great. But if rocket fuel needs to perform, all right? So methylox. What I'm telling you is that methylox is like Menergy. Okay, it's like Rondo. It's got what rockets crave.
By the way, Austin Skirvin pointing out that we only started streaming 44 minutes ago, and it's already at the pad. So, yeah, I guess it is indeed booking it tonight. Well, I guess they're on a timeline here. They got to launch in less than 45 hours, so less than 2 days from now is when the window opens, which is the 16th at, I believe it was 4:45 Central, if my brain is remembering rightly. So, yeah.
You know what? I'm just going to go look it up. I'll be right back.
I have it open in another tab. It's 5:45 Central, excuse me. So, yeah. Let's see. Jared General was wondering, are they planning to roll the ship within the same road delay? I think we were kind of just touching on that, but given that the ship doesn't have the Starlinks yet, and it kind of needs those, I don't think so. So there's still a little bit of time left until we see that roll out. And again, as you pointed out, they technically still have some time. And if you haven't watched the update that SpaceX did, it does show how they load in the Starlink. In this case, they were the dummies with 2 with cameras on it, but how they will do the same procedure for the real one. And they did that pretty close to launch as well. And in fact, the person they interviewed on camera, you may recognize as an NSF abandoner from the early days. One of the first ones to head on over to work for the X.
He's a Mets fan. Nah.
That is true. It's literally in his X handle. I almost said Twitter. In it with Finit saying, EJ, this one's for you. How much thrust does the ship have in F-150s, and how much is that in Topolinos per second?
Oh dear. I do believe from Critical Path it was 11 F-150s per second, which would equate out to, give me 1 second, 60 Topolinos per second.
Wow. For those
Sorry.
who don't know, catch up on the Flame Trench. You'll learn all about the Topolino.
It's a fine
Non-street legal yet automobile, yes. This is a new name. Iowa Coast Best Coast. Haven't heard that one yet. Is wondering, do you think they'll ever build a dedicated booster static fire stand? I'm going to give my opinion, go out on a limb there and say no. Because my guess is we're going to have something similar to Falcon 9. Where it gets to a point where, yes, they will static fire before each launch. And then they'll just go and launch it. And once they get comfortable with that, especially if they plan on getting to the pace that SpaceX wants and needs, they will not need to static fire anymore at that point. So you won't even need to worry about that. So I don't think they personally will. Also, I want to note, EJ, before we get your answer, you can see there the sticks are indeed opening up, ready to welcome the booster with literal open arms.
Yes. Very nice.
What do you think?
I think so. Iowa Coast, Best Coast. Wait, which coast? Doesn't Iowa have rivers east and west? So Iowa technically does have coasts. Like, is it the Iowa's East Coast or West Coast is the best one? I don't know. You're gonna have to discuss amongst yourselves. Anyway, no, I think the pad. I think SpaceX's solution here is to also mass produce pads. And if you're mass producing pads, pads can test the booster. They can test the booster adequately. At least do something along the lines of an FRF. Shuttle reference, and go from there.
Yeah, flight readiness firing, for those who don't know. But
yeah, that's what they did when they checked out a new orbiter, just for context. Those FRFs for the shuttle program, they would put the shuttle out on the pad and they'd fire the engines for a little bit. Very similar to... Yep.
I was going to say, we saw that with Crew Falcon 9s, too. For a while, NASA required them, and now we don't always see them do it. So, like I was saying, I think we're going to get to the point where SpaceX is so confident with it that they don't really need to static fire all of them. And if they static fire one, it's not going to put them totally out of commission if one pad happens to have a static fire on it. Because I think we're also going to see, like we have now with 39 and 40 at the Cape, where you will have 39 and then 37 A and B. So even if one is doing a static fire, you still have other pads that can launch even within an hour or two of that static fire. Let's see. Supreme asking, how many fuel trucks do you think they will need for LOX and methane on launch night/morning? If you've ever watched our Starbase Live 24/7 cameras before a launch, you will see, I think in the past, for the early launches, we counted over 150 tanker trucks for those early ones. I'm assuming now it's still going to be quite a large number.
How many? Yes.
Oh, man. Well, yeah, instead of Texas Tank Watchers, we're going to need Texas Tanker Watchers, I guess. Someone can get us a number.
I would buy a Texas Tanker Watchers shirt. I'm not going to lie to you. And you know how I feel with merch. Do that.
Yeah. If you haven't checked out the merch shop, you totally should, by the way. There's cool stuff. And again, I just saw a glimpse this week, finally, of the Flight 13 patch design. Oh, you're going to love it. Once we get the full stack, or if the full stack happens in the middle of the night, once we get to a reasonable hour for a normal stream, we will get to release that. And trust me, you're going to love this one. I know we always say that, but I did see it, and it looks amazing. And there's some more sun shirts with it, because I've been loving the sun shirts lately. I'm saying it because I love it, not because I'm told to. No one said do a merch plug. I'm just saying it because I love it. Yeah. Let's see here. Polycode, since we were talking about the wet dress rehearsal, was asking earlier, what's the expected timeline for the launch prep? Would they still do a wet dress rehearsal tomorrow? I mean, I'm going to go ahead and say no, especially if they want to launch in 2 days. Tomorrow they would need to be stacking the ship on top, and they don't do a static fire with the ship and the booster fully stacked, or at least they haven't, and I don't see them doing that at any point. So I'm going to go ahead and say no. So I guess what then, EJ, would be the expected timeline for the preps, as we can now say at T-minus 44 hours and 37 minutes, the booster is now entering the area of Pad 2.
You know, if you're going by what we saw on Flight 12, I'm not entirely sure we're going to launch on Thursday. I'm just going to put that out there. But, you know, I'm the optimist. I'm the resident optimist here at NSF. So, you know, I'm going to say that, you know, they didn't do a spin prime test on the booster. They went right to a full duration static fire with this thing. I'm going to say that SpaceX has confidence in their design, and, you know, we'll get right to stacking. And, you know, hope that I'm right. I'm probably not, but, you know, you're saying there's a chance? There might be a chance.
It's SpaceX. There's always a chance. You could never rule them out for anything because SpaceX. Am I right?
Yeah,
So,
you know, it very much seems, Sawyer, that they have a lot of confidence in these designs. They went right to the static fire with this booster. They have never done that before, so maybe they've gotten to the you know, out of all of Elon's crazy, you know, his mantra, they've gotten to simplify, delete requirement, or add, less requirements or something. You know, we don't need to do the igniter. Let's go right to the static fire. We don't need to do the wet dress. Let's just stack this thing and go. You never know.
and I always say, a launch attempt is always a wet dress rehearsal until the engines ignite and it lifts off. So, yeah. So at this point, I mean, I think there's still a chance for sure. Again, all they have to do is load in the Starlink simulators and the ship is ready to go. As long as they get that stacked before tomorrow night, before they get ready for, things happening. And the road typically, I think, will close down around 11 a.m. Central on launch day. So as long as it's fully stacked and everything is checked and secured before then, there's no reason they can't. I mean, yes, there's, marine assets that'll all have to be in place and everything, but there's still 2 days here. So I'm going to go out and say I'm still confident that Thursday's going to happen, that we will see an attempt here on Thursday.
Are we agreeing? Wait a minute.
I think we are.
This seems wrong.
I know it does.
I don't like this.
Chat, what do you think? Do you think that we're actually going to see this on Thursday? Are you as confident as we are right now? I hope our confidence is right. I'm interested to see what chat says. If you think that we are going to have a launch attempt here on Thursday, let me see. Yes. Someone said ding ding anti-fight. Let's see. I hope it goes Thursday. Yes. Oh, nah. Yes. There's a lot of yeses in here. Just saying.
You know, I like the good vibes, chat. Good for you. Should be proud of that optimism.
Yes, I don't see Ryan Weber in chat, so that's why there's optimism.
Oh, he's lurking in the back channel. Oh, there's the back channel. Ryan Weber is typing. There it is. No, stop. Stop. He's actually not, but, I can dream.
No, but he's already put his prediction in, and it's very Ryan Weber. We still love you, Ryan. Let's see here. Getting through the questions. So yeah, ship not as of right now rolling out tonight, but we will see when it does. James saying, I do hope these shirts run large. Speaking of oversized things trying to fit in small spaces, wouldn't it be possible to land a Starship on a Falcon 9 drone ship? First off, getting the Hawaiian shirt and the, of course, I still lie here, beach towel. Again, the Hawaiian shirt, I got to wear that more often. It is really comfy. What do you think, though? Do you think they would possibly be able to land a Starship on a Falcon 9 drone ship? Which, a reminder, right now, the only two they have operational as actual Falcon 9 landing ships is, of course, I Still Love You and Shortfall of Gravitas. Just read the instructions, which was a Falcon 9 landing ship, is now being repurposed for Starship-related stuff.
I don't know if you guys cast your mind back to about maybe 30 minutes ago in the stream where I kind of talked myself out of trying to land Starship on a flat surface. you know, I mean, unless you want to send a drone ship to Davy Jones's locker, I'm not sure that that's the best decision.
I mean, they keep in mind, in terms of just read the instructions, this is just read the instructions to Electric Boogaloo. So they did replace the first one. Of course, I Still Love You's first fate was also not great, so wouldn't be the first time.
Yeah, didn't SES-9 punch a hole in the drone ship?
Kinda.
Yeah.
Minor
Turns
detail.
out, yeah, it turns out when you run out of gas, the Falcon 9 turns into a great bunker buster. You know, it's fine. Whatever.
It's fine.
Didn't sink
Yeah.
it. Good. Almost did, but it did. You know, it's fine.
Yeah, and again, I guess it's also worth noting that both Falcon 9, as we saw with CRS-16, and Starship, as is scheduled for them to do on Flight 13, and as we've seen them do, I think it was Flight 6, is if they want to try and target a landing and things are off course, then they can divert to an offshore splashdown, or in the case of being near a drone ship, just away from a drone ship crash. So it's not impossible to, have those safety measures still in there, though, so it doesn't become a missile punching a hole in the deck of your ship.
Yeah, I mean, Falcon 9 is one thing. Starship, but then again, doesn't have a lot of fuel in it. The header tanks is where the fuel is. I'd say if it tipped over, you'd have some really bad problems. But once again, I mean, it goes back to, should they put landing legs on Starship? I think that's probably something we're going to get in the future. Future versions of Starship are going to have landing legs. I don't know about right now, though. I mean, in the future, if they do that, I mean, it would certainly add great capability for Starship, especially considering the fact that, these things can, I'm pretty sure this thing can move 100 tons into orbit. And if it can, guys, you're not fitting 100 tons every time in there. So having landing legs might actually be beneficial in the future for, operations like landing starships next to the pad instead of trying to land one with a super heavy still on the pad, right? It's possible, but yeah, if you were trying to just, go commando, no landing legs, just yeet one right onto a drone ship, I don't think that would end well for anybody.
Oh, probably not. Again, they're autonomous drone ships, though, at least, so,
Yeah.
there wouldn't be anyone on it. That's something. Let's see here. We had a couple of people asking earlier, including Muri, asking, how is the weather for launch? As of right now, NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, and the National Weather Service, the forecast for Thursday is partly sunny with a high near 90, southeast winds 11 to 16 miles per hour, and that's obviously 90 Fahrenheit. So that is looking good, at least in terms of launch weather from the ground perspective. The real question also that we don't have right now, and that we will have closer to launch, is also going to be the forecast for those upper level winds. Because it's one thing to have clear weather where you're not launching into thunderstorms or not getting whipped around on the pad with the chance of it crashing into the tower or anything. You also have the wind shear as it goes up, where once you get to a point, if the wind shifts directions very suddenly, it can import a lot of force onto the vehicle uphill, and this is any rocket for that matter, and then it has to correct itself, hopefully with the gimbal in time, and that puts a lot more stress on the vehicle and can cause some serious damage. So, I mean, EJ, it's more important than the ground weather.
Having a tailwind on the way up can actually help the rocket. Having a headwind can be okay. Crosswinds going up into space is not necessarily the nicest thing, but it's really about vertical wind shear. You're taking into account everything there. The wind's down here, the wind's up there, and very important, the difference between the winds up there and winds down here. It's always going to be a little bit different, but are the winds down there, are the winds down here blowing the same direction as the winds up there? That directional vertical wind shear is what does rockets in. That makes the rocket very unhappy. So yeah, you got to monitor basically your flight corridor all the way from the ground, basically all the way up into space. Very.
Yeah, and actually we have someone who's a National Weather Service meteorologist in chat, Patrick Dugan, saying speed shear is no joke.
Yep, it'll cut through a rocket like a knife through butter. That's not good for it. at all. These things are not designed to carry load from the side. It's designed to go up, right? Like, you know, my analogy that I like to tell people on my end, Sawyer, is that rockets are built like skyscrapers, right? So you don't use a skyscraper as a bridge. You know what I mean? That's not good for it. That's what we're talking about here.
Yeah. At this point now, you can see the booster basically getting settled up and lined up here within the chopstick arms. We don't know when they're going to actually do the lift on it and place it on top of the launch mount there. But obviously, of course, the next step is getting it into place, getting everything lined up, getting everything ready for the chopsticks to close in on it, which we know now the catch points are going to be with the grid fins when they get to that. But EJ, is it different with V3 of how they lift the booster onto the launch mount? How do they do it?
So V3 boosters are lifted by the left and right grid fins. There's 3 grid fins that if you attribute grid position to a clock, right? There's a grid fin at 3, 6, and 9 o'clock. There's no grid fin at 12. There's no grid fin on the top, right? The grid fins at 3 and 9 are the ones that actually lift the vehicle, and that's what will be caught. They will catch with the grid fins. There is a huge catch pin on the grid fin itself, which is it's pretty cool. I think that's neat.
It's multi-purpose. They're not just there for show. Because again, for the first 11 flights, they were just sticking out. It's like, okay, cool. They don't fold them up like they do with Falcon 9. They just stick out, and it's like, okay, they're used for just a tiny little bit of flight as it gets to the thicker atmosphere, and otherwise they're just there looking like they're adding drag. But obviously they've optimized that, and also now if they're the catch and lift and all of that mechanism, it feels pretty good to leave. It's better to leave them stuck out there. It's not like, oh gosh, they're kind of just a waste of space there. And they also made them look really nice. So able to lift and actuate and catch. Let me thank some people here. Space Clippy was asking how much Delta V would they gain from 2 more boosters? Oh, God. Super heavy.
Yes. Okay. If we're talking about straight Delta V, I'm pretty sure with some side boosters, you could probably move. Okay. Let's think about it like this. If you had 3 super heavies across like Falcon Heavy and then another super heavy on top of that, you could get pretty much that entire super heavy into space with some fuel left over. Your upper stage super heavy in this analogy. So how much Delta V? Yeah, you'd have a lot. Yeah, you'd have a lot.
What if instead of Starship side boosters, and instead of using solid rocket boosters, they used another liquid booster, Falcon 9?
Are we talking about Falcon 9s on the side of Super Heavy?
I'm throwing that idea out there while we're talking about adding boosters to it. Why not add a totally different booster? They take just as long to fuel, although it takes about 3 minutes longer for Super Heavy to fuel.
Guys, all right. So Sawyer, something about that isn't sitting right with me. Not because I mean we're already well into the fantasy here, but I'm pretty dang sure that a super heavy, the super heavy would be dragging the Falcon 9 boosters up into space. Like I'm pretty sure. Like
I think I broke EJ with that pause.
Explosions are what come into mind to see super heavy with like 4 Falcon Heavy side boosters on it. I mean, that'd be cool. I'm not sure how much that would help. I mean, I'm not saying it wouldn't be cool either, right? Like, that'd be pretty cool. It'd probably explode, but that'd be pretty neat.
True. But the thing that still blows my mind, and it's almost about the same speed, but I think it actually is like a little bit faster, maybe by about 90 seconds of when they start loading prop. So for Flight 13, the liquid oxygen load on the ship begins at T-minus 37 minutes and 30 seconds, with booster locks starting at T-minus 37 minutes. And booster methane load at 35 minutes and 25 seconds. and then ship fuel load at 34 minutes and 48 seconds. For those wondering, first stage locks and RP1 load on Falcon 9 begins at T-minus 35 minutes, and stage 2 RP1 load begins at 35 minutes. This starts at 37:30, and by the time you get to 34 minutes and 48 seconds, yeah, the vehicle is completely fueled. There's begun fueling all parts of it at that point. So, yeah, that's fast. Let's see here. Rankley saying, gotta be careful with shuttle FRFs. Thermal curtain failure can happen.
You don't want to accidentally launch one. That would be terrible.
Nobody's ever done that, where they go for a static fire that's not so static. Oh, wait. Thankfully, it wasn't the space shuttle, though.
But it was.
Well.
I don't think, Chad, I don't think you got it. You know what thermal curtain failure is, right?
No, I'm drawing a total blank right now.
Space camp, dude. Space camp.
It's the movie's 40th anniversary, and I forgot. I haven't watched that movie in like 10 or 15 years. I'm sorry. Yeah, I know. That's the whole reason it actually launched. It's a great movie, I know. And again, it's crazy that it's 40 years here, but yeah.
Can you just, we can mention Space Camp. Can you just not mention the part where it's 40 years old? Like, just, from now on? Can we not?
Too late. Well, fine, I'll mention it next year, and I won't say it's 40 years old. I'll say it'll be 41 next year.
That's not better. It's not better.
Looking over the Mega Bays there, you can see the ship, and you can see it nearing the Mega Bay as they get ready to load up the Starlink V3, not simulators, actual Starlink V3s, and get that ship ready to go, and then roll it out to the pad to meet the booster, which, as we just saw, is out there now, and will lift soon TM. You see all the vehicles now driving away and driving around the pad. Is that a tanker truck already, EJ?
Let me see.
Are they already coming to load the tank farm?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be busy loading up the prop, like we had been talking about earlier in the stream, when someone asked how many it will take.
I mean, the honest answer is I have no idea. I'd have to sit there. We'd have to sit here and do some hard tank watching. The 30 of each truck, 30 liquid oxygen, 30 liquid methane would be, a guess. It's probably more than that, but I mean, let's just say it's 50 and 50 of each, right? That's 100 tanker trucks. And you can't unload all 100 all at once. There's only so many offloading stations on the pad right now, right? I don't know how many. I forget how many there are. Ooh, truck.
I told you.
See, that's the one we just saw on another camera a second ago. But yeah, guys, if you want to sit here and time the interval, like trucks are coming in pretty much every 5 minutes, like round the clock. They don't stop. The only thing that's going to stop it is the booster getting in the way, like what you just saw.
Yeah, a little bit of a backup there. And also the ship, once it does its move, will have a little bit of a delay for those tankers as well.
Yep.
Which hopefully we see that tomorrow, ? We'll have to see.
Mm-hmm. I would say tomorrow if they're serious, if we're serious about launching on Thursday, and I'd like to think that we are, Sawyer. Yeah.
A reminder, we have seen SpaceX fully stack a vehicle less than 24 hours before its launch attempt. So it's not new. It's not unheard of. SpaceX has done it before, where it's been 24 hours. I think it was like 21 hours before launch when we had a full stack. So it's not a problem that it's not there yet. It's not a problem that it's not stacked yet. Definitely not a worry. So we'll have to see. Although Shazbert Toddbot did give it an 80% chance of a Thursday launch. I like the optimism.
Yeah, chat's got some good vibes right now. I'm into it.
Me too.
Embrace the optimism. Manifest it. Manifest that Thursday launch, baby. Let's go.
We don't want to embrace the suck. We want to embrace the awesomeness. And LB Volleyball Thank you for the support. No message, but still very much appreciated. Here's a good thought question. Lego Rocket's asking, when do you think Starship would reuse both booster and ships?
That's happening sooner than you think. At least by the end of the year, if these flight tests go correctly.
All right, which flight?
Oh, you had to call me out on it, man. I was trying to be vague.
I was trying to get a drink of water. I was hoping for a longer answer. That's why I asked. Yeah.
All right, that's fair. All right, I'll give you that. You're right. All right. Let's think about this. So 14 is obviously going to be the first booster catch if everything goes right. And keep in mind, I'm basing this analysis off, it's notional, right? Like, I'm basing it off of these test flights going correctly. If this flight goes well, 14 is probably going to be the first booster catch. I would guess 15 is the first ship catch. And then you'd most likely want to repeat it. You'd want to keep your flight cadence higher, because the ideal thing here is that you scale up flight cadence. So the first super heavy V3 that you get back, you're probably going to want to inspect, take it apart, figure out what makes it tick, etc., etc. See how it fared through the entire flight regime. You're probably going to want to do the same thing with the ship, right? So I would guess flight 16, maybe 17, maybe you'd see a reuse then, maybe. But keep in mind that your flight rate is going to go up once you start building out a stable of boosters and ships here, not just build one and then send it, and then build another one and then send it. So cadence should go up, right? Provided the flight tests go correctly. I'd say 17, flight 18, no later than flight 20, Sawyer, probably somewhere around there. I think that's a fair guess.
Oh, I would definitely say before flight 20. But again, as you pointed out, all this is assuming that Thursday's flight goes as they expect it to, because we kind of figured, oh, then flight 13 might have the first catch of the V3 booster. But yeah, the booster kind of had the issue on the way back with the boost back burn, so they have to test their fixes to that and make sure that works before they put it anywhere near the launch tower. So
it's like I was saying, dude, like I wanted it'd be a lot cooler if they did catch, but I said that knowing that I was probably incorrect, but it's okay.
That's true. But once they do, I mean, whichever one it ends up being, if it ends up being 21 or 22, I think it will refly. They did the same with their first caught booster. They reflew it and caught it again. So,
yep. I still can't believe that. It's just...
Yeah, that was amazing.
I don't know about you, Chad. I have to remind myself that they actually did refly a Super Heavy already. They've reused the Super Heavy before. It wasn't a V3, but they have. Which is,
Hey, did you hear? They caught a booster.
What? Really? When?
That is an old reference for those who remember.
Right? So somebody was asking me in chat, dude. That's the reason why I think that Starship is going to have some type of landing leg in the future. With the flight cadence that we're looking at here, even like for an HLS mission with your propellant aggregation, so like that's, what is it, 10 to 15, maybe 16 flights? Like, if you need pads for stacking or for receiving ships, that is going to impede your ship stacking. The right way to go about that problem is to have like 4 launch pads and then have 4 ships for every launch pad, right? So you can turn around the ships. Right? A Starship comes back, maybe it gets a little bit of damage, maybe a tile comes off. All right, you take it back. You take it back to the Gigabay, put a new tile on, send it out. That's some downtime. You're always going to want to have a ship waiting, right? So if you have 4 pads and 4 ships per pad, and let's say 2 Super Heavies per pad here. So we have 8 Super Heavies, 16 ships, 4 pads. That is enough to employ and scale, but that means that's enough to handle like propellant aggregation in a week. That's, like so on the HLS mission. That's what I'm talking about. That's enough to do it, but you're going to have ships coming down constantly. And you got to remember, I don't really think they're going to try to land a ship on a pad with a Super Heavy stacked on it. I don't think they would do it. At least not in the early days, like not, in the next couple of years, right? I don't think that's going to happen. So if we're going to employ and scale in the meantime, we already have Starships like HLS that's going to have landing legs anyway. So I wouldn't be surprised if we did see landing legs on Starships in the future, because your scale is only going to go up from here. right? With what if SpaceX ever gonna recoup the cost on, that they've sunk into, Starship and Super Heavy in general? You need to get that high flight cadence, Sawyer. That's really important. So that's why I think they're going to have landing legs, or I think it would at least be something to consider.
Yeah, maybe down the line. But, I mean, we'll see. Again, I think within the next 4 flights, for sure, we will see a ship and booster catch. That's my guess.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That is a fair statement. Did we agree again?
We got to stop doing that, you know? How dare we have the same positive opinion tonight on Starship?
It feels wrong, dude.
It does. I was going to say let's debate bagels, but you and I are on the same page of that, too.
Yeah, we agree on that. Like, I don't know. Red Sox, Yankees? Like, are we going to do that?
That's all we got. It's all-star game tonight. Who cares anyway?
But see, that's what I mean. It's the All-Star break, so we're both American League, so we're both on the same side. We agree again. Even with, I don't like this.
I don't either. I do like the questions we're getting, though, so we can try and avoid having to agree. Rankley was asking, if Flight 13 is suborbital, where are the V3 actuals going when they deployed? Well, you know the trajectory that Starship is on? That's the same trajectory that this will be on. It's going to be the exact same kind of suborbital, but hey, they'll have 20 minutes before entry interface where they'll be able to do all their testing with both ground stations and other satellites, get the laser link and everything tested with it. 20 minutes doesn't seem like a long time, but at the same time, when you have something that high speed, I think they can do it pretty quickly.
Yeah, the handshake won't take long. It's not, what is it, not going to find a Starlink satellite? Yeah, I'm not worried about that.
I mean, my Starlink dish when I'm out in the field sometimes takes 2 to 3 minutes maximum to find a dish, and they have 20, and they're already in space. So, yeah. By the way, that's awesome seeing all the stats on the screen there. This is, the 696th overall launch for SpaceX and 87th of the year, 9th of the month, and the 2nd from Pad 2. And yes, haha, funny number 696. Because it has the... Anyway. I was also thinking that this brings me back to the first stack that SpaceX ever did of a Starship, which was Booster 4 and Ship 20. And we're in the 40s and 20s now. So
can you believe that was 3 years ago for Starship stack? That was 2023, right?
Was that really?
That was 2023. That was 3 years ago. That doesn't seem like 3 years ago.
No.
It seems like longer, you know?
That was, Booster 4 and Ship 20. And now we're at Booster 20 and Ship 40.
It was 2021. Thank you. 2023 was the first launch. Excuse me. Yeah. That's still bananas, guys. Like, even if you want to say, even if it is 2021 and there's so many dates floating around in my head that I can't get one right anymore, right? It's still 5 years. You know, Falcon 9 notwithstanding, Sawyer, flown 12 times in 5 years is good for any rocket. That's great for anything, maybe save for Falcon 9, right? Falcon 9 didn't fly 13 times in the first 5 years. Pretty sure.
Not in the early days.
Right?
They started to pick up a little bit because I think 2011 or 2011, I think was the first demo flight of Falcon 9, and then
2010, dude,
was that 2010?
For the demo flight, and then COTS 1 and 2, and then they stopped, and then they moved to Falcon 9 1.1 with Cassiope in 2013.
And then they had a little bit of a break in between there as well with the Humos, but yeah. Wow. I can't.
13 flights in 5 years. If you just kind of correlate that to any other rocket except Falcon 9, is really good.
That's amazing, yeah.
Let alone the most complicated vehicle ever.
Minor detail, It looks like they're doing some welding or something there in the bottom of that camera. It doesn't look like it's actually on Starship itself. I think it's just the foreground.
They got the tanks there. Could be welding. It could be an acetylene torch or an angle grinder.
I trust the guy who on Twitch live streams himself working on his car. So yeah.
So
I
with
trust
the
him
welder,
more than myself.
with the welder, you'd see a welder. I mean, but then again, we're not seeing what the guy's working on, right? But see those tanks right next to him? Those are oxyacetylene tanks, which is basically a little rocket engine that you use to make rusty bolts into liquid.
I like the way you're describing that.
Yeah, I mean, hey, it can't get stuck if it's liquid, man. That's all I'm saying.
I also like Fox3591 gifting 10 Red Team memberships. And while we're talking about the catch, LB Volleyball saying when they attempt a ship catch, I assume the ship will come from the west. How would they manage the turn to the tower for catch? I mean, we saw a little bit of that in the Flight 12 splashdown, it seemed like. Right? With the trajectory that it took and then that little pirouette.
When they attempt to ship coming from the west. It's not going to do something like a pirouette, guys. The ship will approach from... Okay, so if you look at the tower on your screen right now, the ship is going to approach from the left side of your screen, almost exactly like frame left, all right? So stage right, frame left. It's going to come in over the tower and then kind of, hover and slide backwards. It's not going to do anything like that pirouette. We've speculated that pirouette maneuver that we saw at the end of Flight 12 was so they could get a good picture of the tiles, like right before the booster the ship exploded. But when Starship is coming in for a landing, it's going to approach from the opposite side of the tower that the chopsticks are on, and it's going to fly over the tower, do the flip and burn, and then kind of vertically hover right back into the sticks like what Super Heavy does. So you're not going to need to do a heading alignment like the shuttle, my baby. There's no real crazy heading alignment maneuver here. If anything, it's a heading alignment towards the back of the tower. But yeah, she'll fly over it and then do the flip on the top of the tower and then kind of slide right into the chopsticks. That's the reason why the Pad 2 tower, if you look at the top of it, it's all armored. It's all armored up there because it's going to get blasted by a Starship right before it lands.
Yeah, they literally put a protective roof on it. And in fact, again, in the latest Cape flyover here on the NSF YouTube channel, I mean, we saw the roof for the one over at 37A kind of just hanging out there. I think it was, I'm trying to remember if it was 37A or 39A. I edited the thing, I should remember. But we saw it sitting out, getting ready to be lifted on top of the tower. I think that was 39A. So.
Yeah, 37's not stacked.
Well, it's starting to stack.
It's got 5 segments. The top is not there yet, so I'm going to say 39.
I remember it was just sitting nearby, but I think it was 39A, which was over by the near the crawlerway. Yeah, so I don't know. You got to watch the video. How about that? Watch the video, and you'll know for sure. Shameless plug for me for my brain not working.
Getting late.
Yeah. Let's see. Texas Big Red. I know it's a little late, so we don't have the view of it specifically, but they were asking, were the long diamond-shaped things on it the flight termination system? I guess I'll ask you then, EJ, is the flight termination system installed yet on the booster, or is that something they still do out at the pad like we saw in the earlier days?
Pretty sure it's on there already. That is a guess. Chat, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure it's on there. Yeah, they wouldn't roll this thing out and get it ready to go without doing that. I mean, I'm pretty sure. With that being said, SpaceX does change their procedures for stuff all the time. So I'm not 100% sure on that one, Sawyer.
I believe it is. I believe they install it over by the Mega Bay. I'll have to ask our team in the background if we saw anything like that. I trust them. The people at work on Space Coast or Starbase Live, Starbase Live 24/7. The team, the volunteers over there, does an amazing job of keeping track of every little thing. A special shout out to Need Pizza, who manages to somehow find anything and everything you ask for within like 2 minutes, better than any Google that exists out there. So I'm sure they'll be able to help us out on that. But yeah. I believe the FTS is installed. Here's a question from Cola, I believe. Sorry about if I mispronounced that. If one of the catching fins gets stuck, like on a recent Falcon 9 landing, what happens then?
That's a good question. So, okay, this is gonna, Calico, this is gonna come out of nowhere here. You know what a mixing bowl is? Like the mixing bowl that you'd find in a kitchen. If you're looking at the mixing bowl from the side, it creates like it looks like the silhouette of like a semicircle, like a half of a circle, right? The catching point on the grid fin is like that. It's like it's not a full like semicircle, but it definitely is a convex surface. And that the convex surface, it, from what I can tell, basically will take that into account. You could still land on the grid fin, even if it like gets stuck in a tilted position. You could still land on them because it's the catch surface is convex. That's the word I'm looking for.
It's late. It's hard to remember the terms, but yeah, it's not totally out of the question, impossible for them to still catch. And again, the other option is if something happens like that, they have it built into the software that, hey, if they recognize something is not right, then it will avoid the tower and go to its, do the least amount of damage possible to your launch infrastructure location. So it would be a rough day for our cameras out on the dunes, but then at least you keep most of the launch infrastructure.
Man, it would stink for the cameras out at the dunes, but as long as the SD card in there survives, then it'll be worth it.
That is true. Or like you get the last surviving moments of Danger Van, going back to Flight 1, since we were talking about that.
Dude, that piece of concrete, man, I swear.
You had it out for us, man, I tell you.
Right? At least it's not the buoy cam that got torpedoed on Flight 12. You remember that?
Oh my gosh, the video is fantastic of that, yeah. But hey, like they said, they patch them up and they put it back out again. They basically, it sounds like, been using one of them since Flight 5, so.
Mm-hmm. And we did get clarification. The FTS is on there.
Yes.
Yeah, it's on there. It's not part of on-pad operations.
Yeah, it used to be not for the current vehicles, not for V3. Because I saw someone saying, well, then why did they roll it back after the static fire? If I remember rightly, the FTS is not installed when they do the static fire. It's when they get ready to roll it out to the pad that they put on the kaboomy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. JC Space was wondering, and EJ, I know we talked about this earlier, but they were saying, do you know why the RVAC failed on Flight 12? And SpaceX did give an update on it.
Yeah, they did. Let me pull that up real quick, because what they said is something. It was a very, very weird way to word the thing. Okay, this is now I'm quoting right from SpaceX here. Let's see. Approximately 40 seconds after stage separation, on Flight 12, Starship lost one of its 3 Raptor vacuum-optimized engines. The vehicle was able to demonstrate its engine-out capability and reached its planned suborbital trajectory. Several hardware and operational modifications have been made to address the interconnected causes, with additional reliability improvements planned in upcoming versions of the Raptor engine. I mean, that was a really nice way of saying nothing. If you really want my honest opinion there. They said that essentially says, well, it went wrong, and we figured out what went wrong, and we made sure that the things that went wrong were, connected to the other things that went wrong aren't going to go wrong. That's what that says. If you want my honest opinion, they did say that they made some hardware changes. I think they sprung a leak. You can clearly see propellant leaking out of the shut-off vacuum engine in the Flight 12 footage. It probably sprung a leak again. I mean, it happened.
Left their lunch in there? Why were they eating leeks anyway?
I don't know, man. They should have left beans up there so it would have gotten into space faster. That's all I'm saying.
But yeah, again, it's very SpaceX to give an answer that's not totally an answer. But yeah, that's what we know of, at least from what they publicly put out on their update ahead of this flight, and from what we saw in the critical path video. Um, let's see. Ninja Guy Dan asking,
Danny?
what is space? What?
I was just saying, Danny, go.
Oh, asking what is SpaceX doing different from version 2 to prevent hotspots and burn-throughs on the RVAC nozzles on ship? Well, from the sounds of it, it sounds like it wasn't exactly perfect on Flight 12, but I don't know if they mentioned any specific changes for Flight 13 other than we're working on it.
Yeah, so from version 2 to version 3, like once again, guys, people keep talking about those hotspots. I'm pretty sure that's just the sun or the camera settings. Hotspots, like non-uniform hotspots in the regenerative cooling channels on a copper jacketed full flow stage combustion cycle engine. See, now I just used a lot of big bird words. Long story short, if one side of the rocket nozzle is getting hot, you got a big problem. That usually means the next thing that happens is usually an explosion. We clearly didn't see that happen with previous versions, Dan. So I'm thinking it's just a camera or some swamp gas reflected off of Venus or something. Hey, you ever seen one of these?
Oh gosh, that again.
Sorry, I had to do the bit again. It's funny. It's funny to me. People probably don't find it funny. I'm sorry.
I don't know. We'll see how chat reacts to it this time. But yeah, again, this is a live view from the Rocket Ranch Outpost, which is a great spot to view launches from. I mean, look at this view with just the booster glowing at night. Imagine this now, 5:45 p.m. Central Time on Thursday. The gorgeous lighting, this kind of a view. So yeah, check them out for launch viewing options. And if you're looking for a place to stay, we also had the view that you saw a moment ago right there from the Margaritaville Hotel over on South Padre Island. Now I want a cheeseburger. Thank you. Yeah, cheeseburger in paradise in particular. I like mine with lettuce and tomato, Heinz 57, and French fried potatoes.
All right. I'm gonna come at you with a little bit of a different angle here. All right. So,
Okay.
cheeseburger with bacon and a fried egg on it.
Yeah, I was just quoting the lyrics because I don't like tomatoes and tomatoes don't like me. But yeah, sure. That
Yeah,
actually sounds delicious.
yeah. I'm not like Jimmy Buffett. All right.
Yeah, he had some odd takes. Also,
Sticks going up, dude.
There we go.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, please do. Otherwise, we were just talking about cheeseburger. This is more important.
Now I'm hungry.
This is much more important.
Yep.
I'll hope you like Chinese because the chopsticks are on the way up.
Oh, don't say that, man.
Anyway, as you were pointing out earlier, a reminder for those who might have missed it or forgot, the chopsticks being used to lift the booster, once they do, they attach to the booster with those grid fins that you see there, at least 2 of the 3.
Yep. So, yeah, sorry. What I was saying a little bit earlier is that if you're looking at super heavy, like from the top, like you're looking at it from up, like if we were like 100 feet above it, looking down at it, right? Super heavy obviously looks like a circle, right? So if you could, you have a clock here. The grid fins are at 3, 6, and 9 o'clock. There's no grid fin in the 12 o'clock position. The 12 o'clock position would be facing the side that's facing towards the tower right now. The grid fins at 3 and 9 o'clock are the ones that actually, the chopsticks actually hook onto and lift.
Yep. You could see them working their way up to that, slowly but surely. And I mean, the other day, the chopsticks were making that weird sound and doing the kind of shaking, and they were working on those. So it looks like, obviously, whatever work they did on it looks good now. So I guess then the next question would also be, when lift? I don't know if we know that yet.
Am I crazy in thinking that they're just going to do this right now, or?
Yeah.
I don't know. Chat, what do you think?
I mean, that I wouldn't put it past SpaceX because SpaceX. Yeah. I'm trying to see if there's any other closures or anything that we're looking at here. Haven't seen any updates on that, but with the booster out there, them getting the sticks up, it does take them a little bit to make sure everything's lined up and in place and set.
But chat, look at that. Look at the responses. Chat seems to be gung ho about it. I'm kind of with you, right? Like, if once again, you got to get that. We're gonna hit that Thursday launch window. This thing needs to be on the pad now.
Josh, I'm trying to find a way to disagree with you tonight, but I can't. I agree.
Right?
Son of a gun.
All right, that's the theme for this stream. We're just gonna agree with each other all day.
I know. I like it, but I don't like it. It's more fun with a little back and forth banter of, I don't think so.
Yeah, I do think so. Wait, what?
Yeah. And it's amazing, again, how much faster they've gotten with this procedure, especially when you think back to the first couple of flights where you're talking, sometimes it would be like an hour-and-a-half process as they check everything, line it up, lift it, pause, and then have to do the little shimmies and shakes to get it in place. Now, I mean, they've gotten the boosters in place once they begin a lift procedure in well under an hour, if I'm remembering rightly.
Mm-hmm. Nah, this sucker's, well, they stopped. I was about to say this sucker's gonna get lifted now. I have a feeling, but right when I was about to say that, the stick stopped. So that that's good.
Well, you can see on the right there that elevator though going down.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it seems like people working there. They're now on their way out of it. Harumph. Oh, SpaceX. Never change, except please change and tell us what you're doing. Let's see here. In the meantime, while we're watching that, let me hit a couple more super chats here real quick. One Part Harmony saying, what are the chances of a Mars transit before December? I'm guessing they mean a Starship-related Mars transit, because obviously, you've got other launch providers that do their own Mars thing.
Let me think. I wasn't yawning, I swear.
No, all I heard was a
Okay, One Part. I know I'm the optimist, right? But if I had a question for Elon right now, it would be, if I could ask him any question right now, it would be, is Mars still in your scope of operations in the next 5 years? Question. And I'd be very curious to what the answer to that is. It seems like SpaceX has pivoted put a lot of chips in the short term, at least, into the lunar basket, which, that's fine. That's a way. That's a way to do it. But I'm gonna go ahead and say probably not. Not that I have like insider information or anything, but I'm gonna say probably not.
I'm also gonna go out on a limb and say that at the rate at which they are testing Starship, their priority for first payloads is going to be Starlink V3s. They've been waiting to get these upgraded Starlinks online for years, given the whole thing of they were going to do the V2 minis, because then Starship was going to launch the V2 bigs, the V2 regulars, whatever you want to call them. And now that never happens. They're switching to V3. They want those upgrades to it, which again, they haven't publicly said what all of those upgrades are, but it's supposed to be better. So I think the focus is on that. And again, if you launch payloads for the early program here, why waste something on a Mars transfer window when you can get one of your big money makers up and running at a better capacity, which is the Starlink services? I think, though, if we get to the 2028 window, I would say yes, they're going to try next launch window. I think Starship will be at a much more reliable pace. It will be launching much more often, be more comfortable with the reusability, the catching and everything. Hopefully by that point, they will have done their demonstration for Artemis 3 and will have a vehicle ready for a landing on Artemis 4. And they'll be at a point where they can say, you know what? Yeah, I think we're good. Now we can go for something for Mars. Although, again, as you pointed out, their main focus being Artemis 3 and Artemis 4 and getting those lunar landers and a lunar base set up. Let's see. I'd rather be flying an X-Wing. Yes, I gave an Alex answer, Chris Bergen. I'm sorry. Alex isn't here. Someone has to do it. I'd rather be flying an X-Wing, saying double smash burger, cheese, pickles, bacon, Thousand Island, tots with fry sauce, vanilla ice cream with cheesecake, Butterfinger bits, and caramel.
You son of a gun. I'm in.
That's just evil. Even though I had dinner and dessert, that's just evil.
Also, is Alex gonna be like alive tomorrow because considering the football matches.
But the football was today.
Yeah, I mean, I know, but also that was a big game.
It was. It'll be interesting when we get to Argentina and England. That is, of course, tomorrow or today if you're over in the UK. But yeah, that's also exciting. Harry Kane versus Messi, basically, because
I'm sure nothing. I'm sure nothing. The fan bases will be completely civil with each other, right? Right.
Absolutely, of
Right.
course.
It'll be a perfect game.
Yes, because that's what it is known for. Yes, but then again, it's funny. It's not England versus Argentina. It is Messi versus Harry Kane. Because no other players. There aren't 10 other people on the pitch.
I mean,
anyway,
Jude Bellingham is pretty good in my book. He's pretty good at what he does. Pretty sure.
Anyway, the nerds here don't really care about that right now. I think they care about Starship.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what we have in the sports ball section of the NSF Discord for.
Mm-hmm.
Felix 11 saying, "What would keep me up at night is the thought of the booster or ship only catching one pin on the chopsticks. Getting it off of that would be a nightmare. But hey, that's pretty good, right? As long as it's not coming back down and crashing onto the pad and causing serious damage to your launch infrastructure that would delay the program, a win's a win. You got to take it, right?" So.
Mm-hmm. I've always said, so that elevator's going back up again. Hey, those kids are back on the elevator again. Sorry. Sorry, I've always said, like, back in the, when Super Heavy had catch pins, I've always said, like, even if a catch pin fails, the grid fin will snag it. The amount of aerodynamic load that those grid fins go through to be able to create effective moment at hypersonic speeds is way more than the load that would be induced on the booster from it being held up by the grid fins. And go far as to say you could probably pick Falcon 9 up from its deployed grid fins if you absolutely had to. I'm just going to go out on a limb there. Falcon 9 maybe not as good as Super Heavy, but Super Heavy absolutely. If it snags one and kind of the other one kind of gets on, misses or for some reason, and you have it hanging on one grid fin, I don't know about two Super Heavies, but it'd definitely still stay up between the chopsticks, between the bumper and the and one of the grid fins. Bumper on both sides. Like it'd stay up. It would be a little precarious, but it would stay up.
Yeah. By the way, you were talking about on a limb. Wouldn't it be on a chopstick, not a limb?
Well, the grid fin is the chopsticks, we call them arms, all right? We call them catch arms. So limb would be the anatomically correct term.
That pun way backfired on me. It's fine.
Yes.
Stephen King was asking, don't they have to move the ship quick disconnect out of the way to lift the booster?
Is it in the way?
I'm not sure. Again, right now the eyes are on the chopsticks. Of course, unless those chopsticks are in place underneath the grid fins, we know that it's not going anywhere yet. Keyword yet. Let's see here.
Cyborg asked in chat, Cyborg Valkyrie, we don't have it queued up, but what about accidentally catching the ship by the front fins? Very. Yeah, I don't think that would. I mean, it might work. Maybe.
Yeah, not well, I don't think.
All I picture is tiles coming off of the front fins when they hit the chopsticks, like shucking like corn. just bye-bye.
Let's see. My concern, would it be just shearing those fins straight off? We have the tiles falling off, more like shearing straight through it, into it, impaling.
Yeah, right. Exactly. The reason why I think that is because of the it's your manner of mechanical adhesion. Well, not adhesion. That's not really the right way to say that. It's how it's attached. The moving part of the fin is attached on an axle that's going basically parallel to the force of gravity. So what you would really have a very, very strange shearing force on the longitudinal axis of the pivot of the fin. Now with the grid fins, it's not necessarily the same. The grid fins, their manner of actuation is perpendicular to the force of gravity, right? So they're sticking out the side rather than kind of flapping on the side. They stick out the side and they pivot. Because of the differential attachment here between a ship and introducing, I mean, the grid fins are introducing a shearing force, but they're designed for that. The flaps are not designed to have a shearing force like that on the long axis of pivot, right? Because when Starship goes in to re-enter, the flaps are out, right? And the leeward side of the ship, the side with the tiles is that's where the load is coming from, and heat as well, right? It's really designed to handle aero loads on a different axis than the grid fin. And that's why I think catching with this, you know, if you miss the catch pins with the ship and, you know, the flaps might hold it up. But because they're not really designed to take load in that direction, and the grid fins are, yeah, you're Sawyer, I don't think you'd be having a good day there.
No, probably not. Definitely don't want to see that. Which brings to a question that I saw here, which was basically asking, how can they catch both ship and booster with the same tower? I think it's worth noting that we're not talking about they catch the booster and then it's like, you know, the people at the circus that then try and catch the plate on top of the spinning thing and have to do that, where it's going to have to land on top of the booster itself. My assumption is that if you are having a tower that is for both launch and catch for the same mission, that you would catch the booster, since that comes back within about 10 minutes or less after launching, leave the ship in orbit for as long as you need for them to take the booster off of the stand, or off of the mound, put it onto the transport stand and get out of the way for the ship to then come back in and do its thing. That would be my assumption. Am I assumptioning right?
Yeah, Sawyer, I'm not entirely sure, Temp, that we're going to see a ship land on a pad with a booster on it. In fact, I don't think that's it. I don't think that SpaceX is building a lot of pads for no reason here. And once again, that goes back to the reason why, you know, this seems to be my weird theme for this. I think Starship will eventually have landing legs, and eventually will land on a concrete slab, like maybe next to the pad, maybe, like, you know, maybe I'm just hoping, I don't know. The other way that you could do this is just build more launch pads and always have Starship or a dedicated catch tower. But if you're building the catch tower, you might as well build the pad to go with it, right? So either the number of pads or landing legs on Starship is the way to beat this problem, because I don't think you're going to land a Starship with a super heavy sitting on the pad. I really don't think that SpaceX wants to do that.
I like how this view, really quick, it looks like with Hoppy's legs, it looks like the booster has landing legs deployed.
It absolutely does, right?
Sorry, continue. I just had to point that out.
No, it's all good, man. Yeah. I really think, you know, either having another pad that or a dedicated ship catching tower might be the best move here. Elevators going back up.
Man, they are going up and down with it. Although, then again, we saw it go up. I don't know if that means more people are going up, or it's going up to get the people that are coming down. Just saying.
SpaceX engineers often tell me that SpaceX is there's a lot of ups and downs.
Oh my gosh.
You know, it's bad if I made Sawyer cringe, chat.
You got a chuckle out of it. That's more than I get from most of mine.
Yeah, all right. Fair.
Oh boy. But yeah, I mean, that would make sense. Although I guess you're thinking of, if the booster is there, you know, it puts it down on the launch mount and then swivels back off to the catch position. But at that point, then you risk damaging the booster that's already on there. Then again, I'm just thinking this out loud, which is why I'm going then again a lot. I mean, it would be able to likely take the heat, given that that is where the hot staging ring is. So it would be coming down on top of what is already expected to get heat from those engines.
You know, that's a good point.
The tower has the roof to protect that, so.
Yeah, you know, that's a good point, Sawyer. You know, yeah, I was gonna say, you're just gonna cook the top of the booster, but ain't no more than what it gets cooked during staging. So yeah, possible. Maybe not like something in the immediate future, right? Like, but yeah, you know, I'd say eventually, if they dial in a ship catch, now that I'm really thinking about it, yeah, that could work. I mean, I guess I'm weighing the risk in my head here, chat. Like, what if it doesn't? What if it misses? What if it doesn't? What if it has to divert? What if the ship, diverts and lands like right next to the pad and blows up and damages the booster? Then you have a potentially damaged pad, booster, and ship. Let's just break all the things, right? Like, so maybe not something in the immediate future, but yeah, down the road, I could, if SpaceX truly has that sub-centimeter precision that they said that they had with Super Heavy, if they had that with ships, yeah, I mean, I guess you could. I've been saying, like, you're not going to land a ship on a pad that has a booster. I guess I really should have clarified that and said, like, you're not doing that anytime soon, I guess would be the better way to say it nowadays.
Would that be any different, though, if, say, you had the booster on a transport stand on the SPMTs, since, all right, it was lifted off the orbital launch mount, cool. Now they give a chance for the ship to catch. If the booster's just hanging out nearby, would they not do that, you think? Would they wait for the road closure, roll it all the way back over to the production site, and then have the ship come back from orbit, keeping in mind that I believe, what is it right now, 48 to 72 hours is what they're expecting for the maximum currently of time for, like, the tankers?
And that's another good question. I mean, I'd say at that point, Highway 4 is your bottleneck towards ship catch, if anything.
Yeah, unless you feel confident enough to just leave it within the pad perimeter when you have the ship coming in. Again, like we're saying, folks, this is literally just us spitfiring and thinking out loud, because we don't know any of this, so we're kind of going off of, our thoughts here on this. It's late. We've got a Starship out on the pad. It's fun to pontificate a bit. Also use the word pontificate is fun.
Hey, look at you.
I know some words.
We have pun tokens. Can we get, like, vocab tokens?
Well, I will say, Pun Token in chat did say, you're both doing me proud with 3 pun tokens. So, thank you, Pun Token.
No. No.
I still love that there's a username in chat that's just Pun Token. I still love that.
That's telling me. What are you saying? Lokendo's saying stop yapping about landing. I will not stop yapping about landing. Like, I will do no such thing, sir.
But yeah, for those just joining, just about 2 hours ago, they started rolling this thing down Highway 4, and it is now over at the launch site for Pad 2. We've seen the chopsticks start to move up. Next up will hopefully be the lift of Booster 20 onto Pad 2 ahead of Starship Flight 13, which, a reminder, as of now, is no earlier than this Thursday, July 16th at 5:45 p.m. Central Time. That is when the window opens. Breton, continuing along this thought process to avoid using landing legs, asking, what if they eventually add a second set of chopsticks on the opposite side of the tower to catch ships? I remember on a flame trench a while ago we discussed this, and EJ, you were adamantly against it.
2 chopsticks on either side?
Yeah.
Huh.
I mean, isn't that just adding more mechanical points of failure? Also,
how
are they not going to interact with each other? Is it not going to shake the tower? I'm just thinking out loud.
My big thing would be conflicting with the SQD. The ship quick disconnect is attached to the back post of the tower, and it's basically like L-shaped. It's elbow shaped, so it like goes around the tower and doesn't get in the way of the chopstick carriage going up and down. I'm not sure how you do that. You'd have to re-engineer the ship quick disconnect to somehow be able to pivot around all that. I mean, guys, okay, let me lay it on you like this. I would say it would be better to have 2 pads for 1 tower. Have the set of chopsticks. If the set of chopsticks can obviously move all the way to the right or all the way to the left, and if it's centered, you're over the pad. Have one of the pads be all the way to the right, of the chopsticks pivot rotational movement, and then have another pad on all the way to the left, right? So when you go and you pick up stuff in the center, you have your staging area in the center. So a booster comes back down, it lands, it could set it down on the left pad, right? And then a ship comes down for a catch, and you catches it over the right pad. And then you just pivot the sticks back over and plop it back down. I mean, another thing, Sawyer, is, you know, another reason why I don't think we're going to see ships with a booster, like, you know, catching with a booster on the pad is like, okay, what are you going to do? The Starship is going to need more payload. You need to reload Starlink satellites into it. What are you going to do then? Like, you're not going to just go restack the thing directly, right? It has to go back to it has to at least go to somewhere, wherever the Starlink PEZ dispenser payload attachment device thingamajigger is, right? You're not just going to restack. I mean, the one case would be like a tanker, you know, tankers notwithstanding. But yeah, if it's payloads, right, the thing's got to come right back off.
Yeah, I mean, again, once we get to the rapid cadence that SpaceX is planning for Starship, if we get to the point where you are launching every hour, that's going to be a totally different story. But I think for this early part of the program, I say quote unquote early, I see that anything. I think in a couple of years, yeah, they might be able to do that once they have more landings under their belt, or more catches under their belt of the booster and the ship. Also, once they have the vehicle successfully making it to orbit, which will hopefully be next flight, and they can then do having regular Starlink V3 launches, then I think they'll consider it. But I still think we might be a year or two out from that. Harmony continuing the conversation, by the way, with the Mars window, saying Optimus also isn't ready for the December mission. Minor detail. To have the payload that you want to launch to Mars not be ready in time for the Mars window.
We don't need that.
Yeah. I mean, there's plenty of spacecraft that want to go in this Mars launch window, if I remember rightly. I mean, I don't think one will be launching on New Glenn anytime soon, but hopefully that's up and running by the time we get to November, December timeframe. Because technically it runs November to January, if I'm remembering my orbital mechanics correctly.
It's late this year. Yep.
Yeah, November, December, and maybe a little bit at the beginning of January, but yeah. Also, Observer saying with the super chat, I'm shocked you would downplay the England versus Argentina game. Remember that skirmish in '82?
It was a little bit of sarcasm, dude. I guess I didn't lay it on thick enough.
Oh, yeah. No. EJ and I could go on about this for quite a while, but we figured in a Starship stream, maybe not the place, maybe on a Flame Trench or in a post-show or something, but, I mean, I'm excited for the match. I'll say that. As an American, I am excited for the match.
I hate that this World Cup nonsense has gotten me hooked on soccer. That's annoying.
But
I
you hear
enjoy
that, Chad?
watching it.
He still called it soccer.
I hate it. Hey, the Australians call it soccer, and nobody gives them any trouble, right?
Yeah, but have you seen their version of football? I mean, Australian football is actually probably more tough and intense than American football, but still.
I mean, isn't that just rugby?
Well, there is rugby, and then there is Australian football, which is technically different. Just saying. Again, you and I could talk sports for a long time. I'm sure that's not what chat is wanting at the moment. I mean, we're all wanting for those chopsticks to keep moving up and to lift the booster onto the launch mount, but SpaceX, alas, not at that point just yet, it seems like. And yeah, Chris Bergen, I know, will engage with people as well in regards to England football. There, you happy? Do I get to keep my job if I call it football? Make up for my puns. Rassin Schooley asking, where are we thinking the first HLS will launch from? Ooh. I mean, first off, we've had basically no update on HLS Starship. All we know from the NASA announcement about Artemis 3 is that it'll be basically a ship pulled off the line for the Artemis 3 test flight, with some docking architecture attached to it. So that, I wouldn't be surprised if that launches from Texas, maybe. But for the actual operational missions, I would think those would go out of Florida. Unless, EJ, you think that even the first Artemis 3 one would fly out of the Cape.
I think HLS is going out of the Cape, Sawyer.
Hey, we finally slightly disagreed on something.
Yeah. That's why I was like, yes, all right, sweet. Yeah, I don't, dude. I don't have any like substantial reason why. That just seems right to launch the lander from 39A for the moon. I don't know, Chad. You understand what I'm saying, right? Like, yeah, the lander that's going to land people on the moon. You got to launch that from 39A, right? It just makes sense in my mind. All right, it's like just kind of how it made sense inside my head.
Yeah, but at the same time, if you're just going to pull one off the line and work on the attachment architecture, say for Artemis 3's test, I mean, do you want to ship that all the way out to the Cape and there? Mind that it has a much tighter launch window, so to speak, than Blue Moon does, because you'll have Blue Moon and Artemis 3 do its thing, and that's when afterwards Starship will launch, once you already have Artemis 3 in place, because as we pointed out, you're talking a maximum of 72 hours in space for Starship's time, and add in the fact that they want to spend at least 24 hours attached to it, plus all of the rendezvous and proximity operations that they want to do around it. So, I mean, I guess if you want to get the launch on time fastest and in the same inclination, it would make sense to also launch from Florida like Blue Moon and like Orion.
Yeah.
But at the same time, in terms of getting production out relatively quick and getting something ready to test, do you just do that straight at Starbase, where you already, as they said from the very beginning, all of their testing flights will be based out of Starbase, and all of the operational, once that's up and running, will end up out of the Cape?
For Artemis 3, yeah, maybe. For 4, no. Like the first operational HLS, no. Yeah, but yeah, you kind of sold me on 3 there, dude. That makes sense. But also, it's like we were saying before. Gwen said the first flight out of the Cape is going to be flight 15 if everything goes right. So, dude, I don't know. And I was saying this on stream. When 2 pads get operational, it is going to be a lot more difficult. Heck, 3, 4, 5 pads get operational. It's going to be a lot more difficult to predict what the next test flight or mission is going to look like, because these things are going to come at us hot and heavy. Right now, it's like, sorry, I didn't mean to, I just wanted to keep going real quick. Right now, it's pretty easy to predict. Like, it's only going to go to pad 2. That's the only pad that's operational. Anyway, continue.
No, I was going to say, like we were talking about earlier, there are 5 segments already stacked for 37A's tower over there. They have the segments. Oh, is it 3 already? I thought it was...
No, it's 5, dude. It's
yeah,
up
that's
to
what
5
I said.
segments.
I thought I said 5.
No, I said that was crazy. I wasn't correct.
Oh, I thought you said 3 for some reason. No, yeah, but they've got 5. The other ones are already there, ready, and waiting to be stacked. So it's not like they don't have them. Of course, they will need a launch mount as well to go there. And we've seen them working on that. Again, latest Cape flyover, we saw them working on the top deck for it. We saw some of the things that will be used for the water deluge system, getting ready to be all assembled with it. So they're working on the parts for that launch mount. The rate they're stacking, I mean, we could see all 9 of the segments up onto the tower in the next month or 2. And then it's basically just getting the launch mount, getting all the chopsticks and that kind of infrastructure out there. So, which again, they have a lot of that. It's all sitting around waiting at this point. So,
yep. Hey,
yeah, it'll be operational sooner than later. Yes,
I agree, dude. Yeah, absolutely. There's somebody walking out on the ship quick disconnect there. They're more towards the tower now. They got a flashlight. Somebody's going and inspecting the SQD.
Huh.
Yeah, it looks like there's a couple of dudes up there.
Trying to see, I guess, yeah, you can see the light on there. That's, for those wondering, the ship quick disconnect is towards the base of the tower there. You can kind of see the glowing bit. For those who don't know, that's where some of the attachments go. And then
there we go. Much easier to see at that shot.
Yeah, there you go, up at the top there. So the ship could disconnect. Once it launches, that will, I believe that has the cover that goes over it as well and swing out.
It actually just kind of swings back.
Oh, this one doesn't have
There's
the cover. I'm thinking of the booster quick disconnect that has.
Yeah, no, all good, man, all good. It lights once again, getting into the wee hours of the morning here almost. Yeah, they're definitely looking at that ship quick disconnect. It's very interesting that they're doing that right now, though, considering what's like right below them.
That is true. I mean, I don't know if what that means for when lift. If the people are still up there at the moment, but yeah, interesting. Very interesting. Cole's wondering, when do you think we'll see the first refueling in orbit? What flight? Obviously, a major part of the Artemis and HLS program is being able to have it fully fueled, and part of that is having a tanker that can go up, fill it up, and come down. It's anywhere from 10 to 15 or 16 flights it'll take to fully fill that. When do you think we start seeing that? Because it's got to be soon. Artemis 3 is planning on launching about a year from now.
Considering that the last ship that flew, and the ship that's flying now have the drogues for the docking system for on-orbit rendezvous and propellant transfer, I would say that is in the critical path. Yeah,
almost like the title of their video.
It's in the critical path of big flight test objectives. So we talked about like reusing a ship, potentially on 16, maybe flight 17, somewhere around there. I would say those ships are probably going to be reused. Well, actually, you probably wouldn't want to do propellant aggregation on a ship that you've used already. So my guess would be that the tanker and the ship that it refuels will most likely be brand new on the first try, not reused. So that tells me that, just use some logic extrapolation here, probably 18, 19, somewhere around there. And then it could be flight 17 and they could opt not to reuse stuff, or they could reuse one for propellant aggregation. I don't think they will, but they might. It's possible.
Always a possibility with SpaceX, that's for sure.
Once again, guys, the timeline. If you want timelines here, we say like flight 17, flight 18, barring no catastrophic craziness, like, and all these flights go as planned. Yeah, this is something that's happening by the end of the year. Like, there's no way that it can, because, like you said, Sawyer, Artemis 3, right?
Yep, exactly. And the elevator continues to go up and down. Let's see. Brendan saying, why isn't the ship launching for Artemis 3 not an HLS ship again? Is it because HLS won't be ready in time? If Artemis 4 launches 6 months later, why would HLS be ready in time for then? I mean, that's a good question. It was, I think, a little bit surprising to all of us when we're like, hey, we're waiting to see the infrastructure. We're waiting to see what the first HLS ship's going to look like. Beautiful paint job. Seeing what the inside's going to look like, waiting to get to see a crew actually go inside of it for Artemis 3. And they go, we're not really worried about the inside of it. We're mainly going to allow you to do your rendezvous docking and attachment tests, and then that's about it for you. When, again, if the plan continues in mid-2028 or sometime in 2028, we're supposed to see the first lunar landing, very likely with Starship. I mean, it does seem kind of surprising. Is it that they're behind, that they don't have it? They're focusing so much right now on just pumping out as many ships and boosters as possible that HLS has kind of fallen a bit on the back burner? What do you think?
So, Starship, the Artemis 3 Starship not being an HLS exactly comes from a NASA press conference with a SpaceX employee named Jess Jensen. And what Jess said is that HLS will be based off of a V3 Starship, but it won't be full. I'm pretty sure she said it won't be like full fidelity, and a lot of people took that as like, oh, it's not a full HLS. It's not a full HLS. I mean, I just took that as HLS being based off of the V3 architecture. I didn't really take that as HLS. You know, the one that the one that they're gonna get for Artemis 3 is basically just a regular Starship with a docking port on the side or something. What that tells me is that HLS architecture is frozen around the V3 architecture, Sawyer. And if that's the case, all you really need to do, and oh, well, there's your problem. All you need to do is just do this. No, if that's the case, you know, and you don't need a full HLS to do Artemis 3. You don't need the lunar landing engines. Why would you need those for testing what they're trying to test? So, I mean, I always just considered it, you know, SpaceX likes iterating on their designs. Why would HLS be any different, right? So the one that we're going to get for Artemis 3 is most likely going to be incomplete. That's no different than the entire Starship program in a nutshell.
I mean, yeah, fair point. And again, it's one of those where, you know, they're saying, hey, we want something ready to go. NASA's like, we want something we can use and test. I mean, SpaceX is flat out saying, hey, we got something. Here you go. Blue has Blue Moon Mark 1 that is supposed to launch, all things pending with New Glenn, this year. So at least they have something to work off of. And then when they get to their quote-unquote 1.5, which is also their sort of interim so that Artemis 3 can do its testing, you know, they're supposed to be an interior, a place where the astronauts can actually go inside and test things on it. So it's, I guess they're both kind of getting what they have out there so that Artemis 3 can happen, so that they can get all of their real stuff in time ready for Artemis 4. As we see them getting ready more here with Starship, as the chopsticks now moving up closer towards the grid fins.
Yeah, it looks like those sticks are moving up towards the fins. Like I said, I thought we'd see a lift sooner rather than later here. But that doesn't necessarily mean they're lifting, right? Yeah, right.
It doesn't mean they're lifting right now, but it definitely means they're closer to lifting than we saw. It's instead of in the past where we've seen it kind of just hang out with the chopsticks around it for a few hours. I mean, yeah, no, at this point, they got them around and have them up to the grid fins in under an hour from when it all got to the pad, I believe. So, absolutely mind-boggling. Also mind-boggling is the support that continues to come in. Sarg Valkyrie, thank you for becoming a Red Team member. And Space Pope saying, didn't get to celebrate my orbit day with you, with my YouTubies yesterday, as I was on a rocket test facility blessing road trip. Gifts incoming.
Oh, man.
I want to hear about this rocket test facility road trip. Also, happy belated birthday to the Space Pope.
Looks like 50 Membies right after that.
50 gifted. Here we go. Let me display the message for. Yes, and then 50 gifted Red Team membership. Space Pope, you didn't have to do that. We always appreciate having you here. It's good to have you back. I know you were away for a bit. Happy birthday. Everyone in chat, wish Space Pope a happy belated birthday. And I'm very excited to see or hear some of the stories from your trip, where you ended up going. Shoot us a message. You know my Discord and everything. Shoot a message. I want to hear all about it.
Space Pope told me about it. I'll tell you about it later, Sawyer. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sure.
We love you, buddy.
Space DJ before me. It's okay. I know we're I'm kidding. Oh man, you can see a bunch of people there. Is that at the base of? I'm trying to figure out where that is in relation to the ship right now at the pad. That's nearby, but not directly at the launch mount, right?
No, the booster's right behind them. There's a guy climbing up the transport station.
I meant what we're seeing in front, where the lights are and all the yellow things and the people working around that.
Pad would be behind the booster in this shot.
Yeah, so they're not at the pad is what I'm trying to get to.
No, that was the guy with the oxyacetylene torch. That's what all those tanks are.
Yeah, there we go. So yeah, as we're trying to reference where they are, where people are, in regards to actually lifting this thing and having the pad clear for all of it. So that gives us a good perspective on all of that. And again, we'd seen that elevator going up and down. There were people working on the ship quick disconnect. You can see the people working there on the booster transport stand. SpaceX is definitely doing that. Will they? Won't they? It's like in those movies where it's like, are they gonna get together at the end or not? It's like they're about to kiss, and then the little brother interrupts them. Something's about to happen, and then it all comes crashing down. Someone says something bad, and then they get mad at each other, and they don't do anything. This is that whole will they, won't they thing. This is a classic movie trope, which has now become a classic SpaceX trope. I don't know. I may just be tired with these comparisons.
I think we should pack it in. When you're making movie trope references. No, not yet?
No, not yet.
Really?
Really?
Okay. All right, I'll go to the loony bin 2 with you, bro. Let's go.
We're going to ride this till right around midnight because we also have, just in time, Starbase update happening as well. Starship update, excuse me. So I want to put the wrong acronym in the back channel. We have Starship update coming up too in less than 30 minutes. So as we get ready for the lift, it's something that you guys will be able to watch. Keep Starbase Live 24/7 on one screen and watch the update ahead of flight so you are fully caught up on everything ahead of Thursday's launch. Who needs sleep when you have plugs, right, DJ? Daryl Swordsman saying, Raptors are on the bottom of Starship, make it go, and wear booties. Raptors are feet. I mean, there was no Raptor booties on this, I believe, so that they can just get it out there and lift it. But yeah. Kiwi Nimble's wondering, will HLS have sea-level Raptors or just RVACs? I'm guessing they mean not just for Artemis 3, but for the actual Artemis 4 and beyond lunar landings. Will that have sea levels or RVACs? From what I've seen from the renderings, it seems like they have additional thrusters for the actual landing on different parts of the vehicle itself, so that you would, I guess, still be able to have the RVACs and the sea levels with these other lunar landing thrusters, if I'm remembering rightly. EJ, help me with my memory.
Let's see. Yeah, HLS will have it'll have vacuums on the outside, and then it'll have sea levels in the center. You're still going to need those sea levels to do maneuvers. Because the RVACs don't have any thrust vector control.
If I remember rightly, weren't there additional thrusters on Starship itself to help with slowing down for the lunar landing portion?
Yeah, there's the landing engines. That's what I was talking about, with the Artemis 3. Artemis 3 doesn't need the ring of engines. So up above the methane tank on the Starship HLS variant, there is a cluster of landing engines up there. The reason why you have separate engines that are designed for landing, Chad, is because on the moon with let's say an engine as spicy as Raptor, the regolith propagation great. The plain English way of saying, high thrust lunar landing vehicles with, a lot of lunar regolith propagation is that Starship will kick up a lot of dust on the moon, and you don't necessarily want that. I mean, like landing the first time might not be a big deal, but if you want to build like a city on the moon, for instance, you're going to need to land this thing near something eventually. Right? And Starship, if you landed with the sea level or the vacuum Raptors, like all the way down to, touchdown, you could theoretically blow some dust into lunar orbit. If the exhaust velocity coming out of the Raptors is, similar to like orbital velocity of the moon, and it kicks up some dust, you could just kick a big dust cloud into space. So HLS has smaller engines that are much higher up on the vehicle to prevent this from happening. That's why HLS has all those little thrusters up at the top. And that's what I was saying, like for the Artemis 3 mission, you don't necessarily need those to do the Artemis mission objectives, Artemis 3 mission objectives.
Yeah. So that's part of it, is you'll have room for all 6 of those engines at the base of it, because then you'll have the landing thrusters to do that portion of it. So, and again, like you pointed out, you're still going to need the thrust vector control anyway, so to help with steering and controlling will also not kick you up too much dust and all your other maneuvers and stuff. You're kind of going to need all of those. So, Let's see. Thank a couple more people here. Ethereal Swordsman saying that just makes this a barefooted booster. Given how hot it is in South Texas in the summer, I don't blame it. Air those toes out. I don't like this analogy. Just saying. I don't know why I don't like this analogy.
Real, you're reminding me of the butler from Mr. Deeds. But tomorrow, you let me change your socks.
Yeah. I guess that's why we don't see the engines that often, because they're behind paywalls. I don't know. Anyway. Well, we'll get to see them wiggle their toes, right?
Sawyer, stop it. Stop it.
Hey, we'll
No.
we'll get to see them wiggle their toes.
I will
because
get the squirt
thrust vector
bottle out.
control, right?
No, bad.
Is thrust vector control not the same as wiggling the toes if we're using this feet analogy? Come on. Back me up on that.
You're right, but I don't like this.
I know.
don't like
Let's
this
move on then.
conversation.
Durka Dunk saying, thank you for staying on so late. My cancer came back, so I've been admitted to the hospital getting chemo. Late night streams have been helping my sanity. Thank you, NSF. Well, Durka, thank you for watching, and thank you for staying strong through the fight as well. You got this.
Yep.
We are you here. All the prayers and the thoughts and everything going out tonight between Byford, Durka, all in our thoughts. We all got this. And remember, we all have Starship. So there's always something worth living for. And it is.
Hey, Dunk, let me just say, dude, like, you know, when you're going through bad stuff, burying yourself in something that makes you happy, don't let anyone tell you that that's a messed up thing to do. No. Sit here, go to the loony bin with us, and let's watch some tanks, baby. Let's go.
Heck yeah. You got a whole community with you. Yeah. Ninja Guy Dan, we lift now question?
Lift happening soon. Statement. Amaze.
Yeah. Pad, dirty with people.
Dirty. Why pad one so messy? Question.
Oh boy. Project Hail Mary was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. In it with Pinnit, I'm not saying that one, but yes, it would. Then again, EJ, didn't you have an OnlyVans? VANS?
Yeah, I do. It's still on my website, ejsa.io/onlyvans.
VANS we're talking about here.
It's just pictures of vans, like
The cars.
like vehicles.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got vans with the hood up. We got vans with the back doors open. You got vans that have been around the block, high mileage vans that bounce, vans with a nice grill.
In case you can tell, EJ likes cars, and he does some car work over on his Twitch stream, which he plays from Twitch, in case you didn't know.
I really never thought I would bring this up on NSF.
You brought it up once before. Anyway.
But that was on a plane trench, man.
True. It's
sorry.
also 10:40 Central, 11:40 you and me time, PM. So yeah, our brains are kind of at that point of the night.
I did say the link wrong. It's ejsa.space, not io. It's .space/onlyvans. It's NSFW. It's not safe for wrenches. I'll just link it in chat. Whatever.
There you go, folks. It's gotten to that point. We're not plugging shop.nasaspaceflight.com. We're not plugging Starbase Live 24/7. We're not plugging Starship update coming up in about 19 minutes from now. No, this is OnlyVans time. VANS. I'm trying to clarify that so no one misconstrues it. See, that's the link you should be going to, not just EJ's. It's shop.nasaspaceflight.com. Getting all your Starship prints, everything ready ahead of the Starship flight. Checking out all of the awesome lightweight shirts that are there. The sun shirts that our team has been using very much as it is very hot, both here at the Cape and over in Starbase. We've kind of all been living in them right now, so it's amazing. Yeah, not any of that, and also the fact that obviously very soon we will have the patch release. When? you'll have to tune into every stream to find out.
I've never been happier for you to segue away from the current topic.
I was trying. Thank you, Kevin, as well, for putting that link on the screen and not the other one. Oh, boy. Anyway, let's see what else we have question-wise. Ari is saying, I believe that the SQD arm has to retract before the lift question? Yes,
yeah.
right, EJ? What else
Yes.
still has to happen before they lift?
SQG needs to move out of the way. Ships need to get the grid fins. They need to get to the grid fins and then just make sure everything is aligned. Ryan and I were talking about this in the back channel. Ryan says it could lift in 30 minutes or it could lift in 5 hours. It really depends. Like, there's not a set procedure to this. What I do know is that the second we decide to wrap is when it's going to get lifted. All right. If we wrap in 5 minutes, it's going up in 5 minutes. We could wrap up the stream in an hour, and then it'll go. That's what's going to happen.
Right. Well, I believe the team worded it very carefully in Starship Update. Coming up, 11:59 p.m. Eastern, 10:59 p.m. Starbase time. So stick around for that. We will redirect you right to it. That way you have everything you need to know of what's been going on, both at Starbase and everything, at the pads, the ships, the boosters, everything ahead of Flight 13. Got Ninja Decimator, pew pew pew, coming in with the puns here. If they catch Booster 22, would that be called a Catch 22? I'm not sorry, LOL.
I'm sorry for you. Is that bad?
Well, I mean, the nod is in parentheses, so take that as you will. Oh, man. But yeah, so I guess, EJ, while we have some time here, let's, as we approach exactly 43 hours to go until the opening of the launch window, currently scheduled for Thursday, July 16th at 5:45 p.m. Central Time. What do we need to see before that to happen? What are we still expecting?
I'm sorry, man. It's getting late. Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, we're now 43 hours and 19 seconds away from the scheduled T0 for the opening of the launch window for Flight 13. What has to happen in those next, wait for it, in the next exactly 43 hours from now?
Ah, nice.
What has to happen before that?
Okay, so obviously the booster needs to get put on the pad. Then you got to get the ship out here, right? Ship needs to go to the pad. That transport stool, that big thing with the railing on it right there, actually in the shot that the guys are standing in front of, you got to take that back. Got to take the ship stool back. Once you have the full stack, maybe they're going to do a wet dress rehearsal. We don't know. They might skip it and go right to launch. We don't know. If they don't do the wet dress rehearsal, then it's just a matter of making sure you have all the propellant that you need in the pad, and then we go. If they do need to do the wet dress rehearsal, well, it's making sure you have enough propellant in the pad, and then you do the wet dress rehearsal, and then it's making sure you have enough propellant in the pad the next day, and then we go. So there is a lot of stuff that still needs to happen, but once again, we've seen SpaceX with this booster testing regime skip a couple of steps that we've seen them do in the past. So we don't know. Maybe they'll just be like, man, we don't need to do that. And maybe some of those, I mean, obviously some of those procedures, like stacking the ship and getting a full stack and, need to happen, but they might not do a wet dress rehearsal. Maybe they do. Maybe they don't. We don't know.
I mean, I would think personally that we are less than 2 days away. The booster is not on the pad, on the mount just yet, that they are going to push everything here towards that last minute. And so we see ship roll out, and there's no way that they would have time for a wet dress rehearsal. And as we've seen SpaceX do in the past, my guess is their launch attempt is a wet dress rehearsal until the engines light and it lifts off. So they wouldn't plan for a wet dress rehearsal, but if the launch doesn't go when they try, then it becomes a free wet dress rehearsal. And you find out what's wrong, like we saw on the last flight, where, hey, if a pin gets stuck, you have time to find it then. You got to test all of the propellant parts. Sure, there was some readings with pressures and stuff that we saw in the critical path update, things that they were able to work out on that launch attempt. And they stood down and then went the next time, and it went off on time. I think we see something like that. They're going to go for it. Whenever they get a full stack, they're going to go straight into a launch campaign. And if they happen to launch after the wet dress rehearsal, great. I mean, that's what basically NASA said they wanted to do at that point with Artemis, was they did all their testing, roll the whole thing out, and fill it with fuel and see if it launches. And it did. So.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, you know, they could go on Thursday. Oh no, it didn't work. Oh, wet dress rehearsal, there it is, you know.
Yeah. You'd rather be, and I think that was also NASA's philosophy going back to it, you'd rather be at a point where you're finished a wet dress rehearsal and can say, okay, let's launch it, than have done a wet dress rehearsal and gone, well, everything worked perfectly, and now we can't launch because it's not in a launch window. You don't have the NOTAMs and the NOTMARs and stuff. Yeah,
actually, Sawyer, you're right. You know, you say NASA said it. That's exactly what they did with Artemis 2.
Yep, that's when they said it.
Good. Charlie Breckboyle Thompson said that. That's that's right. You know, oh no, we got to T0. The wet dress rehearsal went really well. Oh yeah, better just stop everything and then go tomorrow. No, that's not. No, fly, go.
Right, everything's ready. It tested out. It looks good. Let's just launch the darn thing. Boom, there you go. I think that's the SpaceX philosophy too. NASA finally just caught up to it. That's kind of always been the SpaceX philosophy of, you know what? YOLO, let's do it. Also, they have enough production cadence and vehicles that they can YOLO it and then launch again in 3 to 6 months, even if there is a major anomaly. Yeah, SLS doesn't quite have that pace going for it, which isn't nice. So,
it should, though.
Hey, we're on the same page. NASA Administrator Jared Isaacman is on the same page of getting more launches, keeping the people that work on it, you know, up to date on everything, keeping them fresh, keeping all of the launch procedures fresh in everyone's head, because you actually launch. Same with Starship, even as they're iterating as they fly. Hey, that was the name of another one. You know, as they iterate as you fly, it's a way to keep the launch team fresh, to keep your knowledge of the vehicle fresh, to keep your pad systems fresh. I mean, Pad B spent how many years unused between Artemis 1 and Artemis 2? So,
yeah.
Was it 4 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want that. Let's see here. Let me thank some people again. You see they're about less than 10 minutes away from the start of Starship Update, where you will get to know everything you need to know ahead of Flight 13 from the amazing team that works on that. I believe Max hosting that from Starbase. Yes, the Cape team, all at Starbase. Jerry, Max, D, bringing you all the stuff we need here for Starship and for you to enjoy at home, especially for Membies who get all of the extra stuff that comes with it, all the extra photos and everything. So, yeah. Ethereal Swordsman, the $10 super chat, saying, minivans are objectively the best type of road vehicle according to everyone. Well, everyone who can get over themselves anyway. SUVs are just worse minivans. Also the Toyota eCVT for the win.
Disagree. 4-door sedan.
I mean, I drove 3 minivans before my current SUV. My SUV actually has pickup. It doesn't feel as heavy. The back of the vehicle doesn't swing as I'm turning. I like my SUV. I know it's not a Ford, it's a Chevy, but still.
I like SUVs as long as they're actually sport utility vehicles. So like a Ford Bronco or a Chevy Blazer, not the new ones. I mean, maybe the new Ford Bronco.
I will say, my SUV that I have now, the Chevy Traverse, drives so much better at the Cape than any of the minivans that I had. In case you don't know, folks, we do a lot of off-roading when we are at the Cape. There was a lot of gravel roads. When we're setting up remotes, we are literally going into the grass. When we're on the Space Force, we are parking in the grass. It drives so much better than my minivan does. Its utility portion here. Just saying.
Yeah. Wait a minute, Ethereal. That was technology connections. No, Alec is wrong. That's incorrect. An economy sedan like a Ford Mondeo or what Ford Fusion. That is pinnacle. That's peak. It doesn't get better than that. Okay. All right. That is wrong. Minivan? No, absolutely not. All a minivan is a four-door sedan that's been lifted up a little bit, and it looks ridiculous. Terrible.
Mine weren't lifted. I kept bottoming out when I was at the Cape. Just saying. Anyway, Hadrat member, thank you very much for that. And then Win19406 asking, how is the weather for launch day? According to NOAA and the National Weather Service, not a person NOAA, that's the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration. As of right now, Thursday is partly sunny with a high near 90, winds 11 to 16 miles per hour. Yes, all of those, I'm sorry, are in Freedom units because it is a Freedom service doing it. It's part of the U.S. government. So it seems okay for now. Doesn't seem like there's any precipitation in the forecast. The question, of course, is going to be the clouds. If there is any cumulus cloud building into that, it's also going to be the upper level winds and the wind shear, which we don't exactly know yet what those are. So as we get closer, I know our team's going to be looking into that. We've had some of those weather graphics in the past. We'll have Ryan Caton, Mr. Map, with the screens for you on launch day. So all of that's to come. But yeah, as of right now, that is the base forecast that we have.
Yeah, see, somebody in chat mentioned a four-wheel drive Astro van. That one. That's a cool minivan. I'll give you that one. Or a Previa.
That's not a minivan. That's a van.
And the Astro van is a minivan.
It's not mini.
What do you mean it's not mini?
Compared to the size of a regular minivan, it seems larger.
Okay, all right. How about an Aerostar? How about a Ford Aerostar four-wheel drive? You know what that is?
Yes. Okay.
That's fine. Those are cool.
But yeah, for those who don't know, you can actually see the Astrovan at the Kennedy Space Center inside the Space Shuttle Atlantis exhibit. They have it. And I believe at the Udvar Hazy Center, part of Smithsonian, they have the one that was used. It wasn't on wheels, but the one that was used as the containment vessel after Apollo 11 returned, in case they brought back moon bugs. Which, spoiler,
the MQF mobile quarantine facility.
Thank you. But yeah, they have that over at Udvar Hazy, right next to Space Shuttle Discovery, which deserves to stay there and not Texas. Anyway, did I say something? No.
Oh, just stirring the pot?
Hey, we're getting that much closer to Starship updates, so hopefully the pot stirring will continue over to the comments there and not directed at me here, right? That's how that works. I'm saying that's how it works, okay?
Yeah, all right. You're the host. You can say whatever you want.
I brought up your other website, so I can say a lot of things, apparently.
You did bring up my OnlyVans. Why would you do that?
I don't know. I really should be driving more people's traffic to your Twitch channel, not your website, but yeah.
Driving traffic? Really?
Hey, I'm on wheels. I'm good at driving things, including traffic, okay?
All right.
Anyway. So at this point, we are continuing to wait for the lift. Hopefully that happens sooner than later, but if it doesn't happen while we are still on here, don't forget we have Starbase Live 24/7, our live cameras where you'll be able to watch all of the action happen as it lifts in real time without EJ and I yapping over it at that point. And if you're going, well, I don't know if I want to stay up and watch all of that to see when it happens, well, follow the NSF socials. We're, of course, going to post all of it on the NSF socials. We've already, I believe, been sharing some awesome photos that our team has been getting out in the field of the booster rollout, and I'm sure they will have for the actual lift itself. So, yeah, if you're not following us on X, Facebook Threads, TikTok, Blue Sky, Instagram, any of those, you absolutely should. That way you keep up to date. I mean, we had clips of the Soyuz launch this morning. We have everything going on with Starbase, some posts from the team. Definitely should go check that out if you haven't. Oh, man. Of course, SpaceX being hesitant with this, but a reminder that we do have the launch less than 43 hours away now. 5:45 p.m. Eastern Time, or Central Time, excuse me. The window opens for Starship. EJ, thank you so much for joining me for the rollout stream tonight.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's always fun. Love watching steel tubes with you guys. It's a great time. It's a pleasure. Pleasure's all on this side of the screen. So yeah, thank you for having me.
And thank you as well to Kevin Michael Reed, producing tonight, pushing the buttons, pulling the levers, with another awesome team in the background helping out with some of the remote camera tracking, as well as some other things behind the scenes. So shout out to Kevin and everyone that's at Starbase as well, providing views too. There are a lot. I'm Sawyer Rosenstein. I have been your host for this evening's rollout stream here at Starbase. Don't forget, Starship Update is coming up right after this, so stay tuned. We will direct you over there and get you up to date on everything you need to know ahead of flight. I'm Sawyer Rosenstein. Thank you everyone for watching.
And here we go.
This is the final go no go poll for today's operations.
Full reusability of an engine like this is really something that people haven't done before.
We didn't know what we were doing because it was impossible to know what you were doing because no one had ever done something like this before.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, ignition.
Back skew. Separation.
One Raptor vacuum is off.
We lost a Raptor vacuum.
Ship FTS is saved.
Starship is turning for final approach to landing site.